40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
.601. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. College basketball coming up tomorrow. Number 12, Tennessee at Auburn. Tip-off 1 o'clock, 12:30 pregame, courtesy of the Vol Network. You can hear it right here on The Zone. According to reports, the Jacksonville Jaguars expected to place the franchise tag on tight end Evan Ingram. The tight end franchise tag, $11.345 million. To the NHL, the Nashville Predators, who have been among the busiest teams in the league in terms of trades recently, they have until 2 o'clock this afternoon to make any other deals. That's the deadline. The Preds did beat the Panthers last night in Florida 2-1. Roman Josi had 2 assists for the Preds. And Nashville SC at the New York Red Bulls. That's coming up tomorrow night. 6:30 will be the kickoff. 6 o'clock pregame with Will Bowling and Jaleel Anibaba. Definitely want to check that out. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday edition, and the only thing we know how to do on Ramon, Kayla, and Will is act like it. And as always, we're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone as we get a report from Indianapolis for one final time From Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. From Lucas Panzica of The Lucas Panzica Show. And we talk about some crazy times that were anything but 5-2 slow at Lucas Oil Stadium
5-2 slow
on Thursday evening. Alongside Mr. 5-2 slow, Vol for Life, Ramon Foster. Our capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson. And a man who's already livid at me this morning, the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer, making the show happen.
I hate it here.
Of the world, Craig. The world. I'm Will Bowling. Good morning.
Morning.
What's up, Bill, how you doing, man?
Happy Friday.
I just took the
Whoa.
best screenshot because our stream is like choppy.
Lovely.
And Ramon's literally way back. He looks like he's falling out of his chair. You can't even see his head. Like, that's how the morning
That's
starts.
rare. There we go. I'm here for that, though, Kayla. Is the storm coming in or something? Like,
I didn't even know that was happening.
There's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne.
No, there's a big
I was dealing with
storm,
other stuff this
bro.
morning. I was like,
Yeah,
No
we
You
storm.
sure were.
lightly heard about this.
just lightly. I was prepping you guys for maybe a little story time this morning.
One of the first comments out of your mouth, though, I didn't know how to feel about this, Kayla.
You were legitimately kind of mad at
I
me.
was. I'm overly concerned about something that you're not concerned about this morning. And I'm just like, okay, how do we deal with this? Do we deal with this as a group, or do we just let you be your own person on this one, Kayla? Because it's not okay.
Right.
So save space.
We all deal with injuries in different ways. Okay? Some of us, okay? Some of us are like, we got to get to the doctor right away. Now, not me. That's not me.
Yeah.
And I thought I learned my lesson back, and I've already told you this story when I broke my wrist going into my senior year.
Yeah.
And then I ignored it for 3 months and realized there was no blood circulation left. So I had to finally get surgery. So anyway.
On your wrist.
On my wrist. So I've got a screw in there, all that stuff. So last night, I'm going downstairs to like shut off all the lights. And we have a little slick spot on our stair. And Travis and I have kind of like slipped on it before. I don't know if it was because it was later and I was like in a fog, but I go down the stairs, I guess at a rapid pace, and I literally just.
Oh, no.
And the first thing I realized is that I caught like my right hip, and then I caught my right foot. And what it did is it got the back part of my foot, so all that, the heel bone, all that stuff.
Oh, my God.
And so I was like, oh, great, this is not going to feel good, right? So I just walked back up the stairs. I'm like, I'll be fine in the morning. It was hurting. I got up this morning, you guys. I went to go get off my bed, and I literally fell. Like, I couldn't stand on my right foot.
Oh, good. Oh, no.
So I wrapped it up in like a yoga towel to like put some like pressure on it. And I'm doing my makeup, and I'm like, oh, this feels fine because I'm not putting any pressure on it. And then I got up to like blow dry my hair, and I tried to put pressure on it, and I've been tiptoeing. I've been on my tippy toe walking into the station today. So I don't know what I'm going to do. It could be to be determined, let's just say.
The other part of the story you'd already told us was that you just weren't going to do anything.
Right. Yeah.
Which I would not
Because I'm
recommend.
really just worried about getting my workout in today, to tell you the honest truth.
Screw that
I don't want to be
workout.
out like 8 weeks.
You sound like Ryan Tannehill right now.
I know. And actually, there was a moment I felt like him. I was like, I don't know how Ryan did this.
What, disrespected and fans wanting to run you out of town?
Yeah. That too.
Wow.
That too.
Kayla.
I was like, give me a shot in that thing.
What are we going to do with her?
So I'm probably more like Kayla in
No.
this.
There he
that,
goes.
That I typically like a couple months ago. You were there when I literally hurt myself by standing up out of a chair too quickly.
This is very true.
Hurt my Achilles,
Yep.
which has been known to hate me, both of them. And I never got it checked out. I just didn't do like lower body workouts for like a month.
Did it heal?
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay.
What's your degree
That
in?
makes me feel better.
My degree?
Yeah.
Journalism and electronic media.
And yours, Kayla?
Broadcast journalism.
Y'all are not doctors, man. What is wrong with y'all?
I like
WebMD
to
is.
self-diagnose sometimes.
You're not self-diagnosing. If the part you didn't say, you was like, I think my foot's broken.
Well,
Kayla.
yeah, I don't know what parts
fractured.
of your foot can be broken because it's more like the heel
Okay.
and the
okay.
back part, and usually you don't hear about that being broken,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, but there's something that could, Kayla, you got to go get in a boot. We got to get you
I
a
don't
boot.
want to be in a boot.
I know you don't want to be. You can drive without the boot. I've driven with a boot before, Kayla. We're going to get a boot somehow before the weekend's over with. Screw that workout. She's worried about the wrong
I gotta
thing.
get that in.
Hey, would that make it a booty call?
It's
It's Friday night. It's Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Trouble was really afoot with that joke.
Saturday, Sunday.
What?
It's Friday again. It's Saturday, Sunday. What?
It's
Friday again. Saturday, Sunday. Put the boot on. Put the boot on. Put the boot on. Put the boot on. Get the boot. Get the boot.
Get what?
Get the boot.
Get what?
I'm not getting
Get
no
what?
boot.
Yeah.
I'm not getting no boot.
Yes, we gotta get the boot, Kayla. You put a yoga wrap on it.
I did.
You didn't even ice it down yet, Kayla.
Yeah, ice should be the first step.
Do we have any ice in there?
Oh my god.
Do we have any?
You're gonna be like Michael Scott,
I
put the
think
foot in the fridge.
I think the damage is done now. The window to ice is gone now.
Dang
but
it. Can we get Ryan Tannehill or Derrick Henry on
Oh,
line
my
one,
goodness.
please?
You need ice and
Well,
We
stem.
need some advice.
We are lucky that one of our regular callers is a medical professional,
What?
and he's on the line.
John?
John in the Burrows.
John, that's right.
John, yeah.
Standing by to help us out. What's going on, John?
What's up, John?
Good morning. I did not expect to be giving out medical advice this morning.
Perfect.
Kayla, yeah, Ramon's going to take you to, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and you can do a lot more damage just by not getting it down.
She's
Dang
got something on you this morning, John, because we're not hearing you clearly.
Say that again?
We're not hearing you clearly. Kayla must have
we got
something
you
on
now.
you this morning.
She might. I don't know. But there's a lot of things that can go sideways. There's a lot of things that can go wrong if you don't get it checked out. And you can actually end up having irreversible damage if you don't go get it checked out. So go get it checked out.
All right.
Thank you, John.
All right.
Appreciate the call.
Should have asked him will a yoga wrap work.
Boots aren't that bad.
What's not?
The wearing a boot's not that bad.
No, it ain't that bad.
It's not bad at all.
It just depends on if you got a hot date or something. That's all.
Can I still do yoga?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't know.
Probably not, Kayla. I'm gonna go no. You might have to wait till like Tuesday to do yoga.
What I would do if I were you in between the two pieces of advice is I would wait until Monday, and then do something Monday.
Okay, well.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm the same way. Like I had to run through all this stuff because I would just show up and
Yes, you did.
just ice and stem my Achilles every day.
The real question is, have I gotten soft? That's the real question here.
Well,
'Cause
what
y'all
did you?
are
But
acting
you
like
had that
savages.
medical attention right away, right? Like that was
Yeah.
like at your fingertips. So I just don't want to go through the effort of
And
going in, waiting.
I get that. I get that. But the fact that you said you went back upstairs and it was hurting then, and then you get up in the morning, it's probably gonna hurt worse in the morning. Well,
Scale of 1 to 10. How much? How bad?
that's a fair
let me see.
question.
Is it like only when you're standing on it, or like is
Yeah.
it just hurt all the time?
Yeah, I'm on my left foot completely.
Everybody
It's
hurt.
like you guys, but it's like my heel area.
Okay, I've had.
Wouldn't be
Like
plantar
what is
fasciitis.
that?
I've gotten kicked in the heel before. That does suck. But you,
What defensive lineman did that to you?
man, it was. I don't know who it was, but it's just one of those.
Who
things.
was that guy, and why was his name Vontez Burfict?
Probably so.
Was
I got
it?
fined for. No, I got fined for retaliating. Kayla, you're grimacing.
Well, Cincinnati
right
has such good citizens as their players on defense.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Hey, we do know you get great medical care at Cincinnati.
now.
Let's
You
be
do
honest
do
Yeah.
about
that
that.
now.
Seriously.
Well, we compliment that one. Getting kicked in the heel sucks because your point is you cannot put anything down.
What the heck is it though?
But
Is
my-
it like a bruise? Is
That's
it a
what
deep
I was gonna
bruise?
say.
Like I don't.
If you take pressure off of it and ice it down, I think ice is going to be the biggest thing. Like it'll heal like a bruise where it'll eventually like starting to even up a little bit.
Yeah.
You do need ice.
Yeah, you do.
You need an ice bucket. You do.
Where's that ice challenge when we need it?
Do we have any bubble wrap? Like Michael Scott with the George Foreman
Actually,
grill?
Mike Buckner's in the building this morning, so we need to go have Mike go on an ice run.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, the funny thing is, if we were on remote, Kirby would have this diagnosed. He would have ice already on your foot by this point. It would be fit. He would he would perform surgery right here. He'd
Yep.
be like, all right, so here's what you got. You've got a Jones frat. Like he would just tell you everything that you don't actually have. So then we could be able to eliminate what you don't have if Kirby was here because he'd
Right.
tell us every possible injury from the foot. And then he would tell us how when he ran at Jackson County High School that he got a foot injury that kept him from running one of his state championship track meets probably at one point. Anyway, Kirby's great if he's
Bless you,
listening.
Curbs.
We're solving problems.
We
There
are
we go.
solving
We're
problems.
solving problems.
Kirby knows I love him.
We're solving
That's
problems.
hilarious.
Yeah, Kayla, you need an ice bucket straight up.
So if you hear like grimacing over here today during the show, just know my heel's acting up.
It's not just me and Ramon's opinions. It's that and also
that's
your foot.
Yep. There we go.
615-737-1045 is our number if you would also like to
Tied in a bow.
diagnose Kayla's injury. Coming up this morning, Voice of the Titans Mike Keith within the hour at 7 a.m. His thoughts on the biggest takeaways from yesterday's combine performances, of which there were many that were notable. And Lucas Panzica will do the same with us at 8:15. And Tony Kemp, Middle
Yeah.
Tennessee's own.
Go,
Former
Tony.
Vanderbilt baseball player, now with the Oakland A's. Get his thoughts on the changing landscape of my favorite sport and his season beginning in Oakland, coming up in this month, which makes me very, very happy. 615-737-1045, our number. And coming up, the 240 times that are being heard around the world. One from Tennessee's Byron Young and one that made a Georgia linebacker livid for some reason last night. That's next on our mode, Kayla and Will, 1045 The Zone.
Not really an athlete.
Friday morning on our
There's
Moan,
none of
Kayla,
that.
and Will. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
Everybody hurts.
Sometimes.
Road Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with you. Jonathan Schaefer spinning the hits and then spinning the music about our injuries this morning as well. I shouldn't say our, I should say Kayla's injury.
Kayla's injury.
You're all
Singular.
feeling the pain.
We are. We feel for you. And then she comes in this morning drinking liquid death on top of it.
It's true.
And Ramon goes, I've never tried that. I'm kind of scared.
I am.
What is it?
It's water.
I said it's water.
That's it?
water.
He goes, really? Yeah, Ramon, it's water.
You see a can with
Still
liquid
water.
death on it?
It's good marketing.
Exactly.
It makes me not want to try it.
Can I help my boy out a little bit?
Yeah.
So I had one for the first time on Super Bowl Sunday, Liquid Death, and I was like, what is this before I had it? And then I opened it up and started drinking it. First of all, it's delicious.
It is, right?
Because I'm not a bubbly water person, but it's really good.
Yeah.
And second of all, I was like, why did I not drink this before? Because of the stupid marketing
Boom.
campaign.
But you know
Moan,
what?
But here's the thing. I understand why you felt that way,
Were
Moan,
you-
because
But-
I kind of did too.
If you
did
go
too?
to a party and you don't drink, you want to look like you do, you just do this.
Yeah.
Huh.
Uh-huh.
Or become a mixer.
Come on, mixer.
It doesn't
What
need, no,
is
you don't
going
need,
on?
to use it
Hardly
as a
know her.
mixer.
I mean, you could. You can mix anything.
You could actually, I have the
You're
first time
hurting
I
my
ever
head.
saw Liquid Death, it was mixed with a little bit of whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah.
See? Who's
That was
laughing
actually
now?
it was with Slay at
Old.
one of the like the whiskey tastings we did at one of their remotes, at one of 3HL's remotes when I was still doing all those.
Gotcha.
And they would put a little bit of Liquid Death in with like a really good bourbon,
Yeah.
bring out a lot of the notes.
Oh, because it breathes
Because I'm
a
not
little
a
bit.
I'm not a
Wow.
water and whiskey guy. I'd rather just drink
Me
it neat
either.
all the time.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't
Well, I've had some stuff that's been that
Yeah.
William LaRue Weller.
see that. Well,
That's you.
Ramon, you can't.
You listen to me. A drop. You hear me?
Yeah, I know.
You need a drop of water.
I
now.
believe you. It's just I don't have the facilities for that kind of a
We
bottle.
don't
but
have the facilities for that big man.
One of my favorite meme videos of all time is this. It's this British rapper looking in the camera and he smiles and goes, "I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man."
Big man.
And it was like my PlayStation trying to download a 75 gig update for Call of Duty, and it's like, I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
See, Dylan's with
So
me.
good.
He thought it was alcohol too.
I know. And Cousin Hightower thinks it's awful. I'm just drinking the straight water.
I
So
feel
this
you.
isn't the sparkling.
1045 The Zone TV, where you can watch and react with the show.
You can
on
react
YouTube,
about
Facebook Live,
ankle
Twitter, and Twitch.
injuries, heel
Ankle-
injuries, liquid death.
Yeah, I forget who said earlier. It may be a
Heel
heel
contusion.
contusion. Those suck though, because you can't
Thanks.
put any weight on
Appreciate
them.
it.
It's true.
Yeah.
We go to the phones. Adam is in Hendersonville. 615
I'm not afraid of
737.
snakes, Zach. I actually like
1045.
snakes.
Where'd that come from?
Now, if there's a spider in my boot,
what was
now
the
we're in
snake
trouble.
conversation?
He just said, touche, the zone, at the zone, there's a snake in Kayla's boot.
Anyway, 615-737-1045. Adam is in Hendersonville this morning. Good morning, Adam.
Up, Adam.
Good morning.
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 How are y'all?
Good. How are
Great.
you, Adam?
I'm good. Finally back at work.
Finally.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah, I went to the Tennessee Alabama game in Knoxville on October 15th, and when Tennessee won, I ran down there and shattered both my heels on impact.
No.
And, yeah, I waited there for about an hour and a half for a stretcher because there's like 70,000 people on the field.
No.
I'm not
Yeah,
laughing.
Lieutenant Dan. I was Lieutenant Dan from October to about
Holy smokes.
February. Yeah.
So wait,
Oh, that's tragic.
I'm sorry, what did you do to both?
I stormed the field and broke both heels on impact.
Oh, God.
On impact, so
Oh,
you
boy.
couldn't even stand up
On
to
impact,
take-
yeah, headed for the goalpost.
So
Yeah, 3-2. I yelled yippee, and as soon as I landed, I felt it.
Oh, no.
What?
My cousin was there. I had to get there was like some state troopers. They, people were still coming over the edge, like trampling me. I'm
Damn,
laying
Adam.
there. It was bad.
so could you?
Nurses come up and they're like, "I think he's hurt," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know I'm hurt. I can't stand."
Lieutenant Dan, what do you think?
Yeah.
So, Adam, how long did you have to go through a period of not driving? Like, what were the next steps for you after this happened?
Oh, I couldn't walk. Driving, I couldn't walk.
Oh, my gosh.
Hey, Adam, does this song remind you of that night, by the way?
Yeah, I was laughing when my intro, I love it. Yeah, I was laughing when it came
love
off.
it.
Did you even take a picture on the field? Like, did you stand up?
Oh, yeah, I've got pictures.
You gotta
I've got pictures.
You gotta
Yeah,
get to your knees.
the ambulance guy was like, "We've got to go. You're holding up Nick Saban and the whole squad." You know, I'm emptying my pocket.
Doing the Lord's work,
I'm like, they'll be okay.
Man,
Adam, thank you for your
No,
service.
how high were
Oh
you
my
up?
God.
Like, do you
It's
have
about
soft
6
ankles?
foot. It's about 6 foot. It's about 6 foot. But I jumped up, so it's probably about 7 foot. I'm about 170 pounds. You know, 45, 43, thinking I was 34, completely sober. Yeah,
Adam, but welcome back to work.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your service.
I've got my cane. I'll be okay.
Jeez.
Adam in Hendersonville, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, I'm worried.
Oh, that's
I am worried.
outstanding. That is outstanding.
I cannot believe that story. That's unreal.
My favorite part about that game was the fact that the Alabama band had to sit there and watch every single person get off the field before they could leave, and Adam in Hendersonville was contributing to that. Oh, that's outstanding.
Ground level photos of them
Wow.
celebrating. Can you imagine?
Hey, dog.
Look, processing on the field, rushing the field in Nashville, much safer than rushing the field in Knoxville.
This man said he jumped down over 6 feet. You don't realize how tall
Holy
those walls
smokes,
are,
that's
man.
crazy.
To the field, those walls right there inside the stadiums to get down, and interstate like barrier walls. They
Yeah.
are like 7 feet, 8 feet tall, dividing the interstates, man.
So hypothetically, if I knew anyone who'd snuck on the field when I was in college, hypothetically, not saying any names, but hypothetically, if I did, I would tell the story that there are field sensors on Neyland Stadium's field, like during the week.
Is
Yeah.
it?
That if anyone gets on the field, the UT police immediately knows and can come get you and like remove you from the premises, obviously. So
First and
if you
foremost.
do that, hypothetically,
know
of
that.
course, I never did this. And I actually am serious when I say that. I never did this. But hypothetically, if I had any friends that did, you have to jump out when you sneak onto, like, why am I telling people this?
Well,
That is
people are in
part of the
college.
story
Yes,
was the
let's
fact
do
that
this.
like back then, like anyone who talked about it, it was like the legend of like, yeah, you have to like jump far to get from just there to the field itself. And it is quite a drop off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't realize how high that is up until you got soft ankles like Adam. And he said they exploded.
Oh my God. Please, can we?
Didn't Joey say that too? Didn't Joey Kent say that, Shafe? Like he didn't realize how tall it was with his kids?
Yeah.
Until he
Really?
jumped down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Joe
I'm
said.
surprised there weren't more broken things.
There probably were. That's why the SEC fines you $250,000
That's true.
literally is because of the story we just heard.
and they give them that so you don't sue, to discourage you from suing the school, basically.
I mean,
like
people
stopping
get,
you.
People
Yeah.
do get trampled at these things.
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then, we wonder why Vandy was in a single file line.
Stop.
Vandy was processing onto the field of pomp and circumstance. They were.
We did not
They
start
got
this
the.
Pride Off
Hey,
story.
that wasn't even me. All right, that was.
Well, I love Vandy. I just had to go there.
Don't. Hey,
I had to go there.
when Vandy fans take this out of context later this afternoon, I just want it on the record.
My heels
I
are
want it on the
taking.
record.
My heels are taking over.
Because Vandy fans love to take any jabs we take out of context when they're actually compliments. This one,
We've got a Vandy man on later. Maybe I'll ask Tony Kemp about single file lines.
With that being said, though, Adam, you must work for a great job, man, for you to be
Yeah.
off the 3 months, man. That's a tip of the hat to your employer.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
You'd
crazy.
mostly be fired in other divisions, man.
Here's the thing: would how many Tennessee fans? Maybe this is a poll for today. The answer is yes. By the way, I'm going to be like Jeopardy, tell you the answer first. But how many Tennessee fans would trade being able to go into work and be at home with two of your feet elevated, both in boots, in order to be Alabama? 100% of them. 100%.
Vandy Eli's already yelling at
we don't
you,
worry about
even
him.
though you
we don't. We only name the people in the chat that matter.
From
That was Adam landing on the field, by the way.
Can we put a poll out or just outsource like answers like who actually hurt something storming the
Yeah.
field? We
Yeah.
never really explored
That's
that.
a good point.
Adam brought up a really good point. Like
There was injuries had.
that's pretty tough.
We respect our Colts fans who are in the chat because when they lose, they still come watch the show and hang out in the chat. And then, when other parts of fan bases lose, then they just disappear. So
Hey man.
we're not doing that. Adam in Clarksville, from one Adam to another,
Oh, gosh.
is on the show. Adam's having a great start to this
They
morning.
are.
Good morning, Adam. How are you?
What's up, Adams?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Great.
Good morning.
So, Will, your story about Neyland Stadium, I can verify there are sensors on the field.
What?
2 weekends ago, actually, we went to went to Sevierville for a cheer competition. And, of course, my kids have never seen Neyland Stadium. Neyland Stadium, or Tennessee, is massive in my family. So I'm like, hey, let's stop off and look at Neyland Stadium. I pull up, and a guy pulls up, and he's like, hey, can you park here for free? I was like, I have no clue. We just got here. And he's like, well, I'm actually a graduate from here. So he said, normally it's free on the weekend. So I'm going to go inside here and hopefully ask for forgiveness and instead of asking permission. I was like, I'm following this dude. So we walk in the gate. The gate's wide open.
Perfect.
We walk down, and we're taking pictures inside the stadium. And that guy walks down and goes on the stadium or inside the field with his wife. And I'm like, dude, I'm going with him. And my wife's like, no, we're not going. I was like, I'm going. You don't understand. I'm going. So I took my 2 kids down, and I have pictures of us on the 50-yard line. And then we come back up, and as soon as we get outside the gates, 2 cop cars roll up. And they're like, were you in the stadium? My father-in-law's like, yeah. He's like, hey, just because the gate's open don't mean you're allowed to be in.
Oh.
It's actually, it don't say you can't.
Right?
So if the gate's open. But, I mean, luckily I got my 2 little kids with me. So I think that was a saving grace.
Adam.
There we go.
Once in a lifetime, I got a picture on 50-yard line with my 2 kids.
Look at that.
That's beautiful. I'll take that.
I love it.
That was
That's
worth
awesome.
the
The
risk.
gate's
Thank you,
open.
Adam.
I'd go right on in, too.
I can't blame them. Y'all ever I've wandered
Sorry.
into places before. It was like,
Me, too.
yeah.
If the door's open, the gate's open, I'm going in.
I mean,
Yeah,
And
how
it
do you think
says-
I got this job?
He told us he was on fire.
we don't
this
know.
morning.
Now we do.
The other thing about that, too, though, is thank you for the call, Adam. We
Thanks,
appreciate
Adam.
it.
We got so many Adams on the show today.
We really do. They're up and Adam early this morning.
Oh.
The thing is that, like, if you hadn't gone on the field, then they would have never, like, and he knows this from the field sensor part. Like, anyone who ever does that, like, that's kind of the, I don't know, like, that gets around the student body of, like, hey, like, there might be a gate open every now and then, just don't go on the field because they will come, like, it's trespassing.
It gets around.
Technically.
I wonder, since like Vandy Stadium is like in the metro area, like do people go on their field more often?
They've got gates, too.
Yeah.
So,
They got construction too going on.
well, yeah,
I
especially
think.
right now, you can't get in there.
They don't even go in the stands on game day.
Yeah, I was.
Again, it wasn't me.
Oh, boy.
That was not me.
I'm
Oh,
hands off.
boy.
Innocent. I'm going to laugh at it,
But here's the
that was
thing.
not me.
Haven't you guys heard of a lot of people will run stairs? We're in stadium steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, some places do leave them open because athletes run the stadium steps. It's like they're allowed to do it.
That's true.
Sometimes you're going to get some strays in there.
You are 100%, and that's the thing too. I think stadium steps is fine, but like coaches, the turf staff are so particular
when it
about
comes
the
to
grass.
the grass, yeah.
I was going
Oh,
to say,
my
like, they
gosh.
wouldn't even let us run on the indoor football complex every now and
Oh,
then,
really?
much less the stadium.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there were other stadiums too. Like if you needed a stadium bad enough, we'd probably go to the soccer stadium, which wasn't that big, but I mean it had steps.
Yeah, I hated stadiums.
We share a
I didn't.
facility
I
with
love
soccer,
stadiums because when you got done with stadiums, you're pretty much done for the day. Like the lift was lighter afterwards because
Must be nice.
because of the amount you're running up and down.
I
them
like
things.
stadium steps.
I enjoyed them in high school and in college some too. Doing the Stairmaster these days, no.
You know what? I'm going to go do
that's-
stadium steps today.
That's
no,
one
the
of
hell
your,
you are
one
not.
of your worst ideas.
The worst idea.
That's the worst possible thing you could do is run hills in any context with a heel
bike
injury.
today. No, she need an arm bike today, Will.
No, that just looks cheesy.
Elevated.
Arm bike?
Yeah, you never
you just
never
like
used
move
an
your
arm bike?
arms.
Yeah.
I would
That thing actually works.
I would focus on upper body and maybe do some calf raises.
And some core.
Just
Calf
some like
raises?
light calf
Okay.
raises.
You need an ice bucket.
Honestly, you need a resistance band to see like if you
I
can
do
like
have a
strengthen that a
resistance
little
band.
bit and put it around your foot. And do
Okay.
like the little
Moving up and down.
yeah. This is an audio medium, but I'm showing you what to do. But yeah, no, it's like I get it. It's not fun.
Nope.
No. You ever broke into any other place, Will?
Have I broken into any other place? That's a good question, actually. I feel like I have at some point.
I said Stokely we always could.
Yeah, that was the place everyone before me. I hear from my brother and sister about that all the time.
We broke into the facility
Yeah.
numerous times. The indoor football facility.
We did that more.
And Thompson Bowling, too.
Yeah, I never did that.
You never got into Thompson Bowling?
No.
We got into Thompson Bowling.
I want to say one time we did the intramural fields when I was a
Yeah.
kid staying with my brother in Gibbs. Because I stayed in the same dorm as you and I was in like third grade.
Okay.
And I would just like sleep on my brother's floor in Gibbs. So I spent the night at UT in a dorm when I was like 8.
Will's been getting the college experience.
And we
Yes.
were like
He was
we
very young.
were like we jumped a fence I think to go on the intramural fields and like throw frisbee or something. I don't know. I was a big frisbee guy back in the day, which should surprise no one.
Ultimate Frisbee, I'm guessing?
Ultimate frisbee, big frisbee golf guy,
Frisbee golf.
big
Okay.
frolfer,
What's frolfer?
frisbee golf,
Oh.
frolf,
Frolfer.
You with the shortening of words.
was banging
like
chains,
Margs.
banging chains.
This is the story of our lives. Behind Ramon is a TV with a black screen that says something went wrong. This morning, yes,
weekdays from 6 to 10. Something went wrong.
What
Coming up
else?
next, we will
That's true.
we will discuss what happened at the NFL Combine yesterday.
We promise.
Nolan Smith and Byron Young ran really fast times, and I think it's just kind of what we're doing at the Combine this year.
Man, I watched that. I actually love watching the combine.
The gauntlet has been thrown down by the big guys. Coming up next on Ramon, Kalen, Will, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lead Company. And you hear me say all the time that Lead Company is all you need. And that's because they do it all, starting with heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical. And they've always got great deals for you, like saving $20 on any service call. That's what you can do right now by calling Lead Company at 615-567-1000. That's HVAC, plumbing, or electrical. Save $20 when you call Lead Company and trust their nearly 80 years of experience. They've been trusted since 1944. They're open 24/7 with 14 community locations here in Tennessee and in Kentucky and Alabama as well. And I love that they're involved in our communities, whether it's Little League, high school sports, local events. Lead Company is here for you, and they've been a part of this community for a very long time. 615-567-1000. That's how you call them. Save $20 on any service call between your HVAC, your plumbing, and your electrical. And find them online as well at leadcompany.com. That's 615-567-1000. Lead Company, all you need. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone. We've got some exclusive audio for you coming up here in just a moment. Never before heard by the world. As we discuss Nolan Smith and Byron Young's 40-yard dashes last night in Indianapolis. They ran a lot faster because their heels were not of the contusion variety.
No.
Like
I'm
perhaps
glad.
our dear Kayla Anderson. We actually have the exclusive audio of Kayla hurting herself.
Oh,
Here,
no.
here you go.
I can't breathe. Stop.
Oh my God. Well, first
Our
of
mics are
all,
always watching.
the first part of it, totally true. But I completely snap off at some point. There's no crying. I'm serious. It's more like the bad mouth comes out. What the? Beep, beep, beep,
You know
beep, 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 beep.
And then there's
What
one
is
just
that?
continuous beep.
That sounds like a hit
Best
song.
producer of the world.
Years ago, there was this thing on a Fox station. I don't remember which city it was in, but they were squashing grapes.
Oh
It was a
my
grape festival,
gosh.
and that was the lady that fell over. It was one of the earliest memes on the
She
internet.
fell over.
Yeah, she fell
in the-
over. Went,
Sounds like a walrus.
Sounded like
or
a seal.
It's a great piece of audio.
That's really funny. I need to see that clip.
What is that, man?
Only one.
There is.
As I drink my grape energy drink this morning.
You've been on those, and then you said you didn't really like the grapes.
I'm not a
Well,
fan of
it's
grapes.
not my favorite, but like caffeine's caffeine.
Only grape drinks I like is like grape Welch's juice.
Did you see the other day
That must have
Uh-oh.
really hit Will.
Yeah, we're
the
not going to
player
get back on
at the
topic. No, we're
combine?
good.
The player at the combine who said he had caffeine poisoning
Yes.
I'm sorry.
from
No, that
drinking
what?
5 Monsters
Yeah,
well,
I did
there's the
see
problem.
because he was staying up playing video games
Yeah.
after a football game.
that. No, it's basketball.
What?
I've never related to something more.
You know who
After a
was playing
basketball
with
game.
him? Kyler Murray.
Oh, how's Kyler doing? Hopefully-
5.
Oh man.
He said he had
How's he
one
doing? I haven't heard from him
before
lately.
the game and 5 afterwards.
Playing just to stay
No.
up playing Call of Duty.
I've had
And-
2 in like a 6-hour period, and that almost made my heart explode.
Who's
Monster-
hammering that?
Monster is.
I wanted to retweet that and say me every morning, the morning after a Titans primetime show of Titans Talkback the night before.
No, baby.
You would do something like that, like play video game, like in
Oh,
college
no,
will.
That's not what I'm. Well, in
College will?
Before I got this job, Will. When I worked at the station
College
as just a digital producer, Schaefer knows
Oh,
this.
Moan, the arguments I used to have with Will about getting him to go to
The-
bed. I felt like his father for a while.
The average time of me going to sleep was probably 1:30 in the morning. The average.
the average.
No,
1 to
no, no, no.
1:30. And then I'd be up because I didn't have set hours
Yeah,
here.
yeah, that's real.
I didn't get up till 10:30. Like
This
most
is how it
days.
used to play out, Ramon. Hey,
This is how it goes.
Will, are you gonna go to bed tonight at a reasonable time?
No, I don't see any scenario of that.
No
Right.
scenario of that.
It
Nope.
was a badge of honor, Will.
Especially when I was part time. It's like, okay, well, I only have to work 6 hours tomorrow.
So-
Just come in later.
True.
That's very true.
True.
And then we just used to bust him so hard because he'd come in at like 10:30 and be like, "Hey, good morning, buddy."
And it's like, oh, I just beat one of my buddies in our connected Madden franchise last night at 2 a.m. It was an
and Rhett
eventful
and I
night.
would look at him with such scorn and disdain.
It was great.
That's wild.
That was also kind of pandemic era
I
Coming
can't-
off of that?
Well, I can get that side of it then.
because then I was up till 3 every night playing FIFA.
I honestly hadn't watched any of my episodes of like shows like 90 Day Fiance since the pandemic. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
wanted? I
because
was.
we all binged on everything.
Remember, I got you a 90-day fiance Christmas gift a couple
You
years
did.
ago.
You sure in the
right.
heck did. I was hammering down episodes, y'all, before the 90 days.
I can't
everything.
believe you watched
So
that.
but the thing is, though, when I would stay up that late, I would never drink caffeine. It was just
You were up.
so and that started when I worked in minor league baseball for the Smokies, and like when you're off work at
Yeah.
1 a.m. And then I don't want to know.
Yeah, don't.
You're up. You're
Don't
at,
dive.
up until 1 a.m. and then you just keep going because you got to come down from that
Yeah.
energy. Anyway,
That's pretty wild.
Nolan
Kayla's,
Sorry,
Smith
my
ran a
heels are
4.39.
acting up over here.
Kayla's losing.
My
it
heels
right
are
now.
acting up.
Yep.
so coming up, we'll discuss this with Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith.
Thank God he's joining us in 10 minutes.
What was in the water with the defensive lineman yesterday in Indianapolis?
Liquid death.
Kalijah
Holy
Cansey at
smokes.
281 pounds, the fastest time by a defensive tackle at the combine since 2006. 4.67. for the former Pitt Panther.
Fire too slow.
You had Nolan Smith running 4:39, and then you had Byron Young, from the University of Tennessee, 4:43, the second fastest time by a D lineman at yesterday's NFL Combine.
Dude.
We knew that Byron Young would test really well. We did not know he would test this well.
I didn't know he would test like this.
And coming up next, we'll see who else has caught Mike Keith's attention while they've been at the NFL Combine. Conversations they've enjoyed having on the OTP, specifically with Cynthia Freeland, I thought was interesting on the Official Titans podcast yesterday. And Mike giving a little bit more insight, too, into the Titans diving more into the world of analytics under a new regime and new general manager, Rand Carthon. We'll discuss all that and more with the VOT. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, as we begin hour 2. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Wow!
It's Ramon Foster for Window Nation. If you've been noticing your energy costs have been rising, well, nationwide, they are up 14%. And it's not too late to fix your high energy bills, all while getting off-season prices from Window Nation. Beat the rush with 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Plus, pay 0 down, make 0 payments, and get 0% financing for 24 months. That's 2 years of paying nothing. You can call them at 866-90Nation or going online at windownation.com. Again, save up to 30% on your heating bills. And that's because 43% of your utility bill is heating costs. And this is the real cool pro fact, too. All they do are windows at Window Nation, and they are experts. They've installed over 200,000 windows last year. That's 40 times more than the average window company, and 96% of them requiring no follow-up service. They measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fit. Over 10,000 online positive reviews. Again, listen up. Pay nothing for 24 months. Plus, buy 2 windows and get 2 windows free on any style from Window Nation. There's no limit to it. You'll save thousands on your new windows and your energy bills while upgrading the look and feel of your home. Reach out to them at 866-90Nation or go online at windownation.com.
It is 7 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. More on the combine coming up with Mike Keith in moments. We have college basketball coming up today and tomorrow. Today, Indiana State versus Belmont. 2:30 will be the tip for that in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. First ever MVC tournament game for the Bruins. Tomorrow, number 12, Tennessee at Auburn. 1 o'clock will be the tip. 12:30 pregame, courtesy of the Vol Network here on The Zone. To the Association, Grizz at Nuggets tonight with a 9 o'clock tip. To the NFL, according to reports, the Jacksonville Jaguars are expected to place the franchise tag on tight end Evan Ingram. The tight end franchise tag is just over $11 million. The Nashville Predators, who have been among the busiest teams in the league in terms of trades, have until 2 o'clock this afternoon to make any other deals. The Preds beat the Panthers last night in Florida 2-1. Roman Josi, 2 assists for the Preds. And coming up tomorrow, Nashville SC at New York Red Bulls. 6:30 will be the kickoff for that. 6 o'clock pregame on your home for the boys in gold. Will Bowling and Jaleel Anibaba will have the call here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Into hour number 2 on the Friday morning edition. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone, alongside Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Jonathan Schaefer, our producer.
The best producer in the world!
That's right. I'm Will Bowling as we continue the NFL Combine conversation, beginning the 7 a.m. hour with the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. Kind enough to give us a couple of minutes on a very busy week up at the NFL Combine. Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. I'm well. Thank you. It's good to be with you guys.
You too.
So, Mike, I got to start with what in the world was in the water yesterday for these defensive linemen between Nolan Smith, Byron Young in the 4.4s, Adi Tamiwa, Adibare from Northwestern running 4.49. What in the world was going on up there yesterday?
We've got some unusual athletes. I mean, that's what you're starting to find throughout really college sports altogether. I mean, you've got some guys, if you look at Bruce Feldman's freaks list every summer, which is something that he does that's really amazing. You know, Byron Young was on that list. Other people who did these things, they were on these lists. And you're starting to see it. Now, how does it translate to playing football, right? You know, that's the other part. I'm more interested in the 10s. I'm more interested in the 3 cones. And I think and in the vertical, when you see that, you're looking for cut ability. You're looking for quickness more than straight ahead speed. And you're looking for explosion. And some of those same people were just as impressive in those parts of the drills and the different things that they did yesterday. And then other people who were maybe not as impressive overall in terms of their 40 time, the 10 was pretty amazing. Because, I mean, that's where the game's played. Mm-hmm. Very rarely do you run 40 yards straight ahead as fast as you can go. I mean, maybe if you're a receiver, but, you know, the game is played in spurts. The game is played in tight spaces, and you've got to be able to cut. You need quickness, you need footwork, and you need explosion. And I think we saw a lot of that yesterday too.
And that's where I was going. I actually asked Coach Mack that yesterday. How important were those 3 drills that you kind of brought up? The 10, the vert, and he even threw the broad jump in there too. The 3 cone is definitely important, Mike Keith. On the other side of that, being able to see these big boys run the way they do, and I'm sure the OL is going to impress like that too, as far as Vrabel saying, well, you need speed. I think this draft class is probably going to exhibit a lot of that, starting off with that D-line and probably the secondary too.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. And listen, here's the – I mean, do you like a fast guy? Sure you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, knowing that Byron Young can run 4.43, I mean, that's helpful.
knowing that Nolan Smith can do it. What's even more impressive, though, Ramon, is you did it under pressure.
Yeah.
That's almost as impressive, maybe more impressive to me than the fact that they ran those times, is with all those people watching, all those teams watching, they showed up and performed. And there's pressure. So you get that. I mean, I think the defensive backs, you're going to see a lot of it. And listen, there's no doubt the Titans are looking for speed all over. But there are also some other factors. I mean, we've had a couple of players play for us on defense. David Long is one. He did not run a good 40 time, but he's not only improved his speed, his short area quickness is outstanding. And so, so there are little factors like that. What I like today is, after having the first set of D linemen go and the linebackers go, now everybody's going in the first round. Have you noticed that yet? He's a first rounder after that.
Yep.
It's like you can't have 132 first round picks.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
So you got to put the brakes on. You got to pump the brakes just a little bit. But I think you dig deeper into it, and you kind of see, okay, what are these guys doing in different areas? A lot of the guys that I watched, Jack Campbell from Iowa. I mean, his 40 was 4.71, but his 3-cone was elite.
Yeah.
What's more important? He measured 6'4". So Jack Campbell, the linebacker from Iowa, I think showed some things that were probably more important than just the foot. Can you tell I'm not the biggest 40 guy?
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you.
I like that.
As somebody didn't run a great one, Mike Keith, thank you.
I was impressed with the drills with a lot of these guys, more so.
Right. And the kid out of Northwestern, Adibare,
Yep.
I mean, he was good in the drills too.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an athlete. I mean, but we saw him at the Senior Bowl, and what he did down there was so impressive. I mean, so impressive overall. So you see the football part, you see the athlete part, all of those things fit together, and you're trying to stack it all up with the tape you see from his tape, just using him as an example at Northwestern. And then where does he fit in your scheme? How does he have a position in your scheme? Does he have multiple positions in your scheme? That's a lot of where this goes from here. So a lot of fun. And today, the podiums are getting ready to start. The crowd around Bryce Young's podium is maybe the biggest I've seen. I walked over and just took a peek around the corner, and it's crazy. Wow. I was in here at 6:25 Central, and the crowd was already forming around that podium. And everybody, I'm sure people will come with their own tape measures. They'll probably bring something from Lowe's that does a laser pointer that measures height. Everybody's going to want to know, and you're going to want to ask him all of those questions. And he's probably not going to grow anymore.
Right.
It happens, but it's probably not going to happen with him. So, I mean, he's blowing people away in the interviews is what we're hearing here. And I don't think there's any doubt he could play. I mean, he could really, really play the game. So I think he's going to be just fine.
Mike, and that's what I was going to ask you next, is the combine is also used as a exhibit to break you down. Peter Skoronski, short arms. We got to look at what these guys going to run in the 40. Bryce Young's situation, he's too little, he's too small, he's too, not too tall. Like, isn't it interesting to watch all of this and still watch these young guys go probably top 10 in the draft?
Sure, because, I mean, most of us that talk about it have no idea what a board looks like. And, I talked to two of our GMs before and asked them the same question. They both gave me the same answer. I said, how much does your board change after the combine? And the answer is very little. The biggest thing that will change a board is something medical or, something really disastrous, a bad interview. Somebody shows up and runs 5.4 when they're supposed to run 4.4. I mean, there are things that can happen. But for the most part, what this is here is this is a chance to sort of get confirmation, if you will, of what you think, and to be able to see these guys perform under pressure, both on the field and off the field. And, it doesn't make you change your mind about people in most cases. It makes you more sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what this is all about. And the other thing too is, it's turned into a massive media event, and it is such phenomenal publicity for the NFL. They could never stop doing it.
Right. No, you're right, Mike. And it just seems like everybody's up there. We talked to Rhett the other day. He said from owners to the financial people. I mean, it's
Sure.
the who's who of the NFL and beyond. You were talking about quarterbacks talking today, Mike, and word is that Anthony Richardson out of Florida, and we know how they like to hype up quarterbacks this time of year, but I guess he's been phenomenal in interviews with teams. Have you heard anything about this?
I think he's done, from what is out there,
Mm-hmm.
he's done well, and not surprising.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bright guy. If you've ever heard him talk, I'm not surprised. But Kayla, when do you ever hear? It's very rare that you hear he was lousy. What a horrible human being he is. So that's why I make the joke about now we have 132 first-round picks, and everybody's a great guy, and everybody's a record-setting athlete, and there's some athletes that can't play football. They're and so you've got to really separate the whole thing, because there's some of that. And I think to meet those personalities is a big part of it. I think where the wins come here are for the day 3 guys. I think they're the guys who go from the 7th to the 5th,
Mm-hmm.
or from the 6th to the 4th, or in some cases will sneak into day 3 if they fit a team scheme, because they get a chance to really have these opportunities to sit down with the teams. It's a bigger factor with the quarterbacks because they're going to be out in front of the ball club.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be meek and mild. You can't be afraid, which is why these guys who are throwing – now, listen, if I were Bryce Young, I wouldn't throw either.
Right.
I totally get it. If you're Bryce Young and everybody wants you to throw, say, hey, why don't you turn on a tape against a real good team?
Yep.
Because I play one 8-9 times a year. And I won the Heisman Trophy for a reason, and I played hurt last year. But for these other guys, choosing to throw is really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Because Richardson gets a chance to show himself under pressure. It's not a controlled situation. He doesn't get to set the script. The guy I'm hearing the most about right now is Will Levis.
Wow.
And, yeah, that's the one that we've talked about it some on the OTP already this week, but that's the one. The feedback that's coming back on him is it's like, okay, he looks the part, he acts the part, he's got a tremendous amount of talent. He didn't play on a very good team last year. Played in the SEC just like Young and Richardson did, and so it's pretty fascinating. We were joking about the Levis love, and a lot of people listening to 104.5 right now, I know, are not Will Levis fans because he didn't have a good year last year. But there are a lot of comparisons that are being made of him to Matt Ryan coming out of Boston College. And Matt Ryan had a bad senior year. He threw too many interceptions. But he was on a bad team.
Yeah.
He had a better junior year, which Will Levis did.
Yeah.
And so instead of is he Josh Allen comp, is he Matt Ryan? I don't know. But would you take 13 years of Matt Ryan? Yeah. Sure you would.
Absolutely would. Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, giving us a couple of minutes this morning on a very busy week. Mike, before we let you go, just tell the people where they can find the OTP and just what you guys have been able to do. Coach Mack was already saying you guys in the middle of this week had like 10 hours, in his words, of interviews already. So just, if you will, tell the people where they can find everything you guys are working on.
Well, there's a lot of stuff at TennesseeTitans.com. Obviously, Jim White has a lot of great stuff. We've had updates all week this week at 5 o'clock. Another one will be up at TennesseeTitans.com and our social channels today at 5 o'clock. It'll be our last one. The official Titans podcast, the OTP, we would love for people to subscribe to that. That's at TennesseeTitans.com /podcast or wherever you get your podcast. And today, Charles Davis, our great friend from NFL Network and CBS Sports, and he does our preseason games. And then Jordan Reed, ESPN draft analyst, who I think is really good on the show. Tomorrow, Jim Nagy, who I believe y'all have visited with recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday is a special mailbag with Jim White, with people submitting questions. We've got an AFC South roundtable with the play-by-play announcers coming up. We've got an OTP every day for the next 6 days, and that will mean we will have had either 10 or 11 days in a row. So we're trying to roll. You can also find a lot of our video interviews that have now been posted at TennesseeTitans.com. So we've tried to make the most of our time, and we think we've used our meal allowance well.
Yeah.
Outstanding. That's a lot of shrimp cocktails fueling that amount of interviews with Voice the Titans, Mike Keith.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Love it. Mike Keith, our guest this morning. Mike, I know it's a busy time up there. Really appreciate it.
Thank
you, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, there's Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And Mike providing a seamless transition to an ESPN Plus article yesterday on ESPN's three main draft analysts on some of the buzz that they are hearing around the NFL Combine. Matt Miller, Mel Kiper, and Jordan Reed, who you can hear on the OTP with Mike Keith, with Amy Wells, with Coach Dave McGinnis, Rhett Bryan, the whole crew. Interesting stuff of the buzz that they're hearing that we'll get into next. Plus, one of my favorite conversations to have every single year. What was the most difficult part of Ramon Foster's NFL Combine?
Yes.
And his pro day and his workout experiences. Coming up next,
too slow.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers Ford, and I'm going to take you back to the 80s for a minute. 1983 to be exact, when Michael Jackson was topping the charts, when parachute pants were in style, and when people listened to music, listen to me, on cassette. Yes, 1983, the year Two Rivers Ford was born. It's their 40th anniversary as a local business right here in Middle Tennessee. And Two Rivers Ford has been a big part of our community. They've been a big part of 104.5 The Zone, a big part of local sports, and a big part of local charities. Two Rivers Ford always steps up to do whatever this community needs. And if you're from Nashville, you know this. But if you're new to town, I'm going to tell you what Two Rivers Ford is all about. They've been doing business with honesty and integrity for 40 years. What you see is what you get. They are transparent and upfront, and they have non-commissioned salespeople also. So they are never going to pressure their customers into buying anything. They always have great prices. They always sell below MSRP on their non-specialty new Fords. They make car buying easy, whether you're ordering a vehicle, shopping online, or shopping on the lot. They do business however you want to do business. Two Rivers Ford has asked me to make sure to say thank you to all their customers and this community for 40 great years. They've loved every minute of this ride. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Friday morning, and we're acting like it on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone. Good conversation with voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, as we've had a good representation from a Titans radio crew who is grinding up in Indianapolis the only way they know how. Rhett Bryan posting a picture of Bryce Young's crowd around his podium. The last time Bryce Young was in a crowd that big was the last time he was in Neyland Stadium. A lot less cigar smoke this time around him, but yeah, just hope everybody's safe. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in.
Yeah, last time that happened, Adam broke his ankles.
Sure
That's right.
did.
I might have broke my
Our king.
heel.
Yeah, Kayla broke her heel too today. You got a serious contusion. That's for sure, for sure.
Yeah, usually we just turn heel, not hurt our heels.
Now we're just exploding them.
Now we need to heal.
Ugh, that sounds so bad.
Ugh.
That's like when Achilles injuries happen. When people are like, "Oh, my Achilles," I'm like, I can't. It makes me just get queasy right away.
I saw somebody pop theirs in front of my face.
Had
Kayla.
four Achilles injuries in 2 years.
No.
I don't recommend it.
Every person I've ever known to pop the Achilles, it's like it felt like somebody kicked me in my foot. And I'm like, that's got to be the worst, like, what in the world moment ever.
The worst part of that was when I had my first Achilles injury in high school when I was still competing. I had to wear a boot when I slept that would prop my foot straight up.
Ooh.
And so I had to pull the boot as tight as it would go to like keep my foot directly straight at a 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
And I can't sleep just like straight up on my back.
That's hard.
I have to sleep on my side.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what would happen is I would literally wake up like crying in so much pain at like 2 a.m. and would just throw the thing. And I would take it off and I would throw it across the room because it would make me so mad.
You'd like puncture the wall.
How much it hurt. And the fact that I was hurt into my senior year. And I would throw the boot as far as I could, and then I'd wake up and be like, hey, this boot's like on the total other end of my room. But
well, I know who
don't
didn't.
recommend it.
The boot got more abused.
Man, what?
Yes, it did. It got a bootst. No,
A bootst.
didn't work. Not my best.
No, that wasn't your best right there.
Ramon Foster has been to the NFL Combine. What is the most difficult part about the Combine experience?
The Combine experience, one, getting an invite. I think that's
fair.
Let me walk you through this thing.
fair.
Real quick.
Yeah, how big? Can I just ask, really truthfully, how big is that when you get that invite?
It's huge, Kayla. You at that time you usually have an agent or somebody inside the university like, hey, you getting an invite to the Combine. I'm like, yeah, because it's validation. I can't say that enough when it comes down to athletes or anybody in their profession, right? Like everybody wants validation. That right there, being one of those, I think 312 that get that invite or however many it is from year to year basis, that's huge right there because it's like, okay, I really am an NFL prospect, you know? But the anxiety moments, Will, of walking through those doors, not knowing where to go to, like the production behind the Combine now is way higher. We heard Mike Keith just say that a second ago. It's so much more intense now. So I'm looking at some of the clips yesterday. I'm watching the Combine at home, and I'm like, look at these guys. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. They're getting guidance from somebody not inside the building, probably an agent, an advisor, or a marketing team somewhere, you know. But you get in, and it's the testing aspect of it, and you sizing up people who are there because you're around what you expect to be the most elite athletes in college at the time, right?
Yep.
Even the kickers, no disrespect. But even just everybody, you go into those rooms or when you're starting to check in, you see, man, I might know that dude. Oh, I know who that is. You know, you're sizing folks up. And then it's like, okay, where do I fit in into all of this? And get your hotel assignment, you start your meetings, and then it's the next eval day, the weigh-in, and you walking around, honestly, like I said, in like spandex shorts and team issue stuff.
Does it feel awkward?
No, it doesn't. You're in the locker room enough times where you're just like, man, I'm comfortable. And most guys at that point, too, you're probably in the best shape that you've been in a while, somewhat, you know. But then it's getting all of that over and getting to the meetings. That may be the most intimidating side of it. The meetings and the wonder of how you're going to perform when you get to the field drills. Sure. And that's the thing, too, you're numbered. So hey, 1, come on, 24, 25, 26. Like you're one after another, trying not to slip, trying to make sure everything lines up the way you need it to, and just where am I at? Because nobody actually gets the time. I think we saw Nolan Smith get off the phone with somebody to
Sure.
get his 40 time. You have no real idea of what your time is in those moments. So it's so much uncertainty, anxiety is what I would say these moments are.
Well, that's what I kind of thought was, and I've watched the combine for years, but again, I think the TV value just continues to increase. And now it's kind of like the primetime slot at night when you're watching this. And just hearing like the natural noises down there. And specifically, I had someone reach out to me on Twitter, and I thought you might know a little bit about this. Was asking about who was doing the drills for the D linemen, and it was actually Pittsburgh Steelers D line coach Kyle Dunbar. Yeah,
Coach Dunbar was.
Coach Dunbar was, and so, but even hearing his voice and kind of like it was kind of. For me, for the players, I would feel would be okay. It's because he gets it going.
Yeah,
like he's kind of encouraging.
And that's exactly what it is, though, too. Because like when you get out there, who did it for me was the guy that was the assistant O-line coach in Pittsburgh, Harold Goodman.
Okay,
well, he get out there and he's the assistant O-line. I don't know who he is. He's the most important man in the world right now. He's adamant this, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and make sure it's encouraging though to be like, hey, this is a interview, and y'all need to make sure that you're on. When I pay attention to me, watch what I tell you to do, get in line and get out. Like you said, it's firm, but it's encouraging also.
And they're like, hey, good job. Like they're saying during the drills too, like they're encouraging them on. I love that. I love listening.
And that's the part of it. When you hear all of that and you're like, okay, did I do good?
Yeah.
You don't even know. I mean, you feel like you did because you've trained for it, but that is it's anxiety is the best way I would say.
So you talked before about some of the weirdest questions you were asked in the interview process, which I want you to go through again here in a second. But how did you prepare for the interview process? Like, were there questions that you thought you were going to be asked that you weren't asked? Yeah. But then what were you asked that you didn't expect that you would have to answer for?
I didn't really have to prepare for a lot because I didn't have any off-field issues.
Okay.
Or be suspended or fail a drug test or, those types of things or have any crazy injuries either. Like that's a portion of it too is how's the shoulder? Why is the shoulder this way? I didn't have any of that. The one thing that I thought I was going to prepare for was the question of having a child early in college, like that side. Because they want to know the family dynamic of what you're getting yourself into. And like I said, because I had RJ, me and my wife had RJ my senior year.
Yeah.
Going into my senior year. So all of that family dynamic, is this a distraction? Why is this the case? Are you with her? All those types of questions. They didn't really ask anything about that at all. My biggest, weirdest question, Will, was the getting former fired question. And, oh, my gosh.
So, I
wasn't prepared for it.
Word for word, tell us how they asked.
What was it? Because I was speaking about leadership.
Yeah.
And I was like, team captain this and that and all that type of like. And the next question was, well, how did y'all get Coach Fulmer fired then if you were a team captain? And I was just like,
there it is.
My answer. And I remember it. It's like, very unfortunate. I probably didn't use unfortunate at the time, my young 22-year-old self. It was something like this, something I couldn't control. And I just told him, it was like, we had really good leaders on the team, but it was more of them than it was of us trying to lead us in the right direction. And that held true. Because we crumbled bad. Yeah, it was that situation right there. I was like, it was more of them than it was of us trying to pull us in the right direction. You ask anybody that played on those teams or watched those teams, it probably looked like that too. That was also the transition of 4 and 5 stars in recruiting classes. I ain't going to say being gifted spots, but being kind of playing early is what I would kind of call it a little bit. But that was probably the most weird question I had right there was – and then I was also asked too, would I change positions? I was asked that by a team too. If
you change
position, like play guard or something like that. Yeah. Mine was more above board with the type of stuff that I was asked, and I get why they asked that type of stuff,
right?
Because you instantly about to pay somebody over 6 figures for a service. And I know we say I'm owed that. Yeah, you are. But as a business person, I look at that side too. It's like I need to figure out what I know about you and is this investment worth it?
And from what you understand, Darnell Wright's probably being asked the same thing.
Yeah.
As another Tennessee right tackle that potentially is being asked, hey, are you okay with playing guard?
Yeah, 100%. Because they want to know you're going to be a team player.
Right.
In the early aspect of it too. And I think I may have brought it up to him a little bit. He was looking like, I don't know about that one when we were sitting down. And that's the natural reaction you're supposed to have.
So I'm not going to ask you to say the team's name, but do you remember the team that asked the Fulmer question?
It was the Steelers.
Oh.
Heck yeah, I remember that.
So the Steelers asked you, how'd you get your coach fired?
And you want to know why?
They must have liked your answer.
You want to know why?
Yeah.
Because Coach Tom, the mental evals that they were doing, they knew that whatever they asked me, and he told me this as I was close, I was just like, you're 10.
Okay.
He was like, everything that we thought about you was 100% true. I'm like, what are you talking about? He was like, even from your coaches at Tennessee, if they ever gave you a challenge, they said that you fulfilled it because that's your mental tick. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, really? It's like we used to just do stuff and ask you stuff or inadvertently say stuff just to get you going. And I'm like, he's like, everything that we evaluated about you was down to a T. And so they asked me that question because they knew it was going to get me to tick a little bit.
Good for you and good for their scouts.
I was pissed.
So Tomlin, I imagine, then is the kind of coach that can remember details years later in just like step-by-step process of like, okay, so then I feel like he's the type like Sean McVay who you can ask him like 2nd down and 6 with 13 minutes left of this game on this day, and he'll be like, yep, we were running spider 2Y banana and I threw it back here and all this stuff. And
he's a nerd.
Tomlin kind of the same way?
Very much so a nerd. Most coaches that make it up like that, especially the young ones too, they gotta be because the amount of knowledge you must have to get to that point and to convince people you're worthy of it. He's a nerd big time about it, but most head coaches probably would or should be anyway. Yeah, it was weird when he told us like everything we thought about you, you did exactly to the T.
Yeah, do you like that or not?
It's like psychology there.
It was.
I don't know how I feel
True
about
psychology.
that. But that's what they do with all of those questions and tests. And like when you walk in, they'll have the team chaplain, head coach, assistant head coach, position coach, the GM, the owners, and there's somebody in the back writing notes.
So that the interesting part of that
you're on
now
trial?
Yeah.
Is every athletic department, especially at the Power 5 level, I would say at least in Division I, has a mental coach on staff. Mm-hmm. And that's what it was called when I was at Tennessee. It was a psychologist who was available for every sport, and he was literally just called the mental coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you go in there and you prepare for interviews, you prepare for just visualization and seeing yourself in certain competitions. And for us, like there's a lot of anxiety in my sport. There was because like the goal of my sport was to put yourself through as much pain as possible through like 3 miles, 5 miles, or 8 miles. So that was a big part of it. I wonder, though, if there's an element of practicing that, because if you're saying you didn't practice the interview part much, like how much more deceptive can guys be in just practicing that, as I think schools invest more into the mental coaching aspect of athletics.
I'll give you the ultimate prep guy probably.
Okay.
Here, in a good way, in a good bad way, was probably Isaiah Wilson. Because they said his interview blew him away.
That was also, that was also during the pandemic.
I know, and that was, can you imagine the amount of time somebody sat him down to break it down
face-to-face,
of
right?
the questions that he was going to have to answer and how he sold them? Like, that's what the prep can do for you when you know you got underlying issues too. But I do know this also. Marquise told me that like he knew for a fact they had private investigators watching him.
Nice.
Oh.
Like numerous times. Like somebody rolled up on somebody that he knew was like, hey, what you doing over here? It's like, hey, I'm over here doing work right now.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I don't say that as a negative. Like I think it's a good thing for teams and athletic departments to have people on staff that can help the mental health of specifically college athletes.
Yeah. Because
as you get more pressure and more exposure on every sport, it's more important to be coached in every possible area and make sure everybody's good. So I frame that not as a negative, but I think it is interesting that I think there's probably more practice for the off-field interview part maybe than there used to be.
I think so, too.
Because
I think that's fair.
And this is the thing, too. Every team has a social media, what do you want to call them?
That's the other thing.
Somebody that manages, like we had one or two people on the team that watch everybody's social media. So if they're invested in you.
That's a big reason why I think, though. It's just because there's more exposure in general.
So much more.
Right.
Yeah.
So 3 ESPN writers gave the thing that they're hearing the most at the NFL Combine. Matt Miller, Mel Kiper, and Jordan Reed. I want to get into this over the next 30 minutes. Starting with Matt Miller, who echoes one comment Mike Keith just made with us a few minutes ago about one player who is impressing behind the scenes and through all of the process in Indianapolis, at the NFL Combine. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Hey there, it's a beautiful morning, and it's great to be joined by Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, your expert in trees and shrubs right here in Middle Tennessee. Dean, y'all offer such great services, but can you specifically tell us about that 7-app program to actually protect your landscape investment all around your home?
Yeah, good morning. Sure. Happy Friday, everybody. It's a pretty nice morning out, I guess. It's kind of cloudy. It's been in and out with the rain, but we're right in the first step of our 7-app program that we offer. We've been around for 29 years now, and we're very reliable and very transparent, and we're going to tell you the truth about what's going on with your trees and your shrubs around your home. But this 7-app program is really important if you've invested a lot of money. I mean, everything's expensive these days, and landscaping certainly is. So if you've got a new home or an existing home that has new landscaping around it, make sure you protect your investment. It's very affordable, very reasonable. We come around 7 times a year, and our techs are certified, and we know what we're looking at. We get out on your lawn with you. We can show you what's going on and what we can do to protect it and to control the disease and bugs that come around, the pests. So give us a call, 615-299-9999. 29 years, like I said. So we want to serve you if we can. Give us a call. Thanks.
Yeah, Dean, and you and all your experts, they're doing great work making not just, the lawn looks good. You got to make everything around it look good. Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. Check them out online at arborart.net, or you can call them, like Dean said, at 615-299-9999. That's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub.
Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. And this song gives me PTSD.
Why
I'm
is
not
that?
going to lie. Because every time the Los Angeles Dodgers hit a home run, they play this as they're rounding the bases. And I hate them.
Poor guy.
Everybody to the Wild Wild West.
This is somebody's walk-up song for them, too. I want to say it's Cody Bellinger's walk-up song.
Is it really?
He's not good anymore, but yeah, that's what it was.
Not?
No, he's terrible now.
Cody's not with LA anymore.
It's weird. No, he's not. Where is he again?
God, he's been. I can't keep up anymore with these guys.
We will talk some baseball coming up at 9:20 with
Tony Kemp.
Tony Kemp.
There you go. Middle Tennessee
I'm
zone.
excited. Can you tell? I love baseball. I love it.
Cody Bellinger now is with it's with the Cubs, of course.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Right. Cubs love old
he is.
retread outfielders like Jason Hayward and Cody Bellinger.
Swanson's
Jason
now there.
Hayward was my favorite for a while. Yes, he is.
I
Absolutely.
liked Hayward too, and
Yeah,
then he
he's
kind of
good.
just disappeared.
He's an Atlanta guy too, like North Cobb, all that
Oh, for
machine
real?
that Ramon knows very well.
I didn't know he was Atlanta.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
half of the Braves the organization is just kids from around that area. But anyway,
A lot of baseball there.
I mean, they watch him grow up, literally.
so Matt Miller of ESPN in an article yesterday on ESPN Plus echoed a sentiment that Mike Keith just told us about an hour ago. That there is serious talk among NFL personnel that Will Levis could be the first quarterback off the board, depending on which team ultimately ends up with the number 1 overall pick. 19 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions this past season. But Matt Miller writes, his arm talent, mobility, and toughness are boosting his draft stock. Many evaluators believe that he was held back a bit by multiple coordinator changes at Kentucky as well.
Whoa.
I get it. Will.
We knew we were going to do this whenever
We did.
Will Levis tested.
I ain't even mad at it because I think he should be evaluated for what you think his potential could be at a position like that. If you don't have the protection, which is OL left, we know how that goes. Look at Ryan Tannehill's situation, right? What are we saying?
Yeah.
Tannehill's an above-board quarterback if he's got protection and weapons. Levis had neither of those, especially when Rodriguez didn't have the year that you thought he was going to have this year, too.
Right.
If there's anybody stock, to me, I think dropped big time, unless it's just an SEC kid, it's Rodriguez, man, the running back from Kentucky.
Cavassier Smoke was really more impressive than Rodriguez a lot of the
Thank you.
season.
That's
Great football name, by the way.
But it
Yeah,
is.
that is. It's one of the best.
But Levis, to me, I get it. That's the same way I feel about Anthony Richardson, too. So it's interesting of these quarterbacks, 2 potentially could be in the AFC South moving forward. Though.
Now he is throwing at the combine. Is that correct?
Levis is.
yes.
Levis and
Levis.
Richardson both are.
That's what I said. So,
Yeah.
though, and speaking of, those are 2 quarterbacks because Mike brought up Will Levis and a lot of the hype that he's getting. And, you know, again, you got to look at both sides. I know we're not the biggest fans of Mayonnaise Boy on here, but, you know, these are scouts and these are teams that are looking a lot more in depth at stuff. And I get it. And you got to give him a shot. I think we'll be interesting to see what he does out there. Tomorrow is when the quarterbacks go. But I'm starting to be on this train with Ramon's guy, Anthony Richardson. I mean, I heard via ESPN yesterday on NFL Live that they were hearing from teams, he's one of the best interviews, period, that they've had at the combine. And I'm going, what? And I know interviews are one thing, but I just didn't know much about him as the dude because we know what the ceiling is for this guy. I mean, right now it's
through the roof.
Because he's that athletic of a dude and, you know, has an arm. So I think depending on what he does too at the combine on Friday, like his stock is going to continue to rise.
Only thing that worries me is the conversation Blaine and Mickey had with Detillier.
Yeah.
And Detillier said they had him at the Manning camp, and they had him about 50% completion rate. They thought, well, it's not his receivers, different environment, anxiety. It was like, no, he did the same thing at Florida.
Okay.
This year. You know, about 55%, I think.
Yep.
That's the only portion of it that's going to probably be a knock on him. It's like, hey, bro, we don't survive on 50s around here, man.
And
So
they had a couple of transfer receivers on that team who were new. He didn't get the benefit of playing with Kadarius Toney.
Okay.
And some of those
true.
big Florida wide receivers that have come out of that program over the last 5 years. But it is interesting that we're having this conversation and we make so many qualifiers about a number 1 overall guy. I'm okay with Will Levis being a first-round talent because of the intangibles and the traits that you can't teach in a player.
Right.
I have a harder time making this many qualifying statements about a guy going number 1 overall. If I've got to make so many but ands about a guy of like, he did this, but he didn't have a great offensive coordinator, but he didn't. If I'm going to take a guy number 1 overall, he needs to rise above that and overcome those factors. Because in my franchise, if I'm picking number 1 overall, you're going to have to do that for me.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a great O-line. You're not going to have maybe the best, most experienced offensive coordinator. That's the element of it that I don't understand with Levis. But we do this
I don't
every
think
year.
he's the best quarterback.
To
I
your
do
point,
not.
though, like you said, that quarterback franchise guy is supposed to win half of them himself and the team do the rest. So that's what you're looking for at number 1 overall. Joey B did that as a number 1 overall guy, right?
Well, 2 other draft analysts on ESPN.com wrote about the buzz they're hearing the most about. Mel Kiper commenting on wide receivers and had some interesting things to say about a split opinion on players at that position. Plus, Jordan Reed, who will go on the OTP today, where you can find Mike Keith, Amy Wells, Coach Mack, and Rhett Bryan, wherever you listen to podcasts, has a comment on Broderick Jones that will surprise you, Ramon Foster. That's coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Finding value is important all the time, but especially these days. And that's why I'm so confident in recommending Genesis Diamonds, because value is the core principle that Genesis was founded on. The owner is a former diamond wholesaler who used to sell diamonds to upscale jewelry stores, but he hated how much they marked up the prices when they sold them to their customers. So he cut them out and started selling directly to the public at fair and honest prices that eliminated the traditionally fat retail profit margins. That direct importer advantage still applies at Genesis Diamonds. That's why they beat everyone else's price on GIA certified diamonds. But it's more than just a price. At Genesis, you'll get a higher quality diamond with the best cut for maximum brilliance, no commission salespeople, a personal, relaxed shopping experience, and free service for life on any purchase. You also get the best rings money can buy too, from the top designers in America. These are handcrafted American-made rings from the most sought-after designers, names like Tacori and Verragio and many more. So this year, as you think about getting engaged or celebrating a milestone of any kind, remember Genesis Diamonds. Best selection, highest quality, guaranteed best value, and a locally owned company with amazing international connections. Genesis Diamonds, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
8:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. College basketball. Number 12 Tennessee is at Auburn tomorrow. Final game of the regular season for both squads. 1 o'clock will be the tip-off. 12:30 pregame, courtesy the Vol Network right here on the Zone. Today, Indiana State versus Belmont. 2:30 tip for that in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. And women's hoops coming up tonight. Kentucky versus the Lady Vols. 7 o'clock tip in the SEC Tournament. To the NBA, Grizzlies at the Nuggets. That's a 9 o'clock tip out in the western side of the country. The NFL, according to reports, the Jacksonville Jaguars expected to place the franchise tag on tight end Evan Ingram. The tight end franchise tag just over $11 million. The Nashville Predators, who have been among the busiest teams in the league in terms of trades, have until 2 o'clock this afternoon to make any other deals. They defeated the Panthers last night in Florida 2-1. Roman Josi had 2 assists. And to MLS, Nashville SC at New York Red Bulls. 6:30 will be the kickoff. 6 o'clock pregame with Will Bowling and Jaleel Anibaba right here on the Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at 1 on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
To the second half of the show we go. Hour number 3, rocking and rolling on the Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And as always, it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Jonathan Schaefer, our producer.
The best producer in the world!
I'm Will Bowling.
His name is Will Bowling!
I knew that was coming.
I did.
And don't you ever forget it. Lucas Panzica coming up in 10 minutes. Tony Kemp, Oakland Athletics outfielder, maybe even infielder this year with some new changes in Major League Baseball, will join us at 9:20 as we dive into the buzz around the NFL Combine, courtesy of 3 NFL writers, and a surprise on Broderick Jones, maybe not to you, Ramon, but at least to me, courtesy of Jordan Reed of ESPN.com, who writes yesterday, don't be surprised if Broderick Jones is the first tackle off the board despite just 15 career starts. This is noteworthy for the Titans considering that you might have the opportunity to take the first tackle off the board. Says there's a debate whether Peter Skronsky of Northwestern is better suited at guard or tackle, and opinions are mixed on the long-term upside of Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. But Jones' 6'4", 310-pound frame, ability to mirror and match pass rushers, and his physicality as a run blocker, ding, 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 are all intriguing to NFL scouts. He has immediate starter traits and plenty of room for growth, including improving his pad levels. So, Tennessee Titans fans, are you ready to draft another Georgia tackle?
I told you, like, it's a matter of splitting hairs with what we were talking about the other day when we broke these 3 guys down. Sure. That breakdown sounded like close to what mine was. Yeah. Like I told y'all, he probably had the highest potential of all of them when it came down to Broderick Jones and just saying, okay, yeah, he has it. Skronsky, to me, is still more ready, but I get the short arms argument. My thing is, that's tough right there, the short arms, man. Like, because I look at it.
You didn't seem to be too concerned when I first brought it up.
I'm not, Kayla.
So you're still not concerned.
I'm not concerned about the short arms, especially when his footwork and technique is as good as it is right now. I get the idea that it could be bothersome for you because we were having that conversation about Roger McCreary. That's one ball that went through his arms was, what do we make of that?
It was a touchdown.
Yes.
It was a touchdown.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 points.
You feel me? So it's a difference of 7 points to Will's, statement right there. So it means something, but that was one play. But that one touchdown also had you losing to the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure did. So that's what Jordan Reed had to say on ESPN.com. Meanwhile, Mel Kiper writes on the wide receiver class and pretty much says that people around the league are split on this receiving group. and says some people around the league are very lukewarm on the receivers in this class, while others think there could be 5 first-rounders. And goes into detail with this, says they all have flaws, though. And there's always a big caveat when you talk about each of the pass catchers. Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State is coming off a big injury.
Yep.
Zay Flowers lacks ideal size at 5'10", 172. Quentin Johnston has a few too many drops and has been inconsistent, according to Kuiper. Jalen Hyatt needs to get stronger, he says. And Jordan Addison of USC is lean at 175 pounds. He says this is a big week for that group specifically to see who kind of separates themselves a little bit.
I can see that.
Can I chime in on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
So we've been talking so much about how this wide receiver class isn't that great because in the past we've seen so many like highly touted guys just coming off of really big seasons. A lot of them, honestly, from Alabama. I hate to say it, but they're kind of missing that this past year with their wide receivers. Not so many of them. You mentioned Jackson. I always say his name wrong.
Smith and Jigba.
Hard to really know what he could have been this year because he was just injured the entire year. But people love him. Like, people say this could be that guy in the NFL. I know that a guy that we were looking at the Senior Bowl is Jonathan Mingo.
Yeah.
And that's a dude, too, that you could get probably, in the second, third round, perhaps.
Yeah.
And I know that Buck said he's doing an in-person visit with the Titans next week. And I know that they had talked to him at the Senior Bowl, too. Everybody talks to them.
Yeah.
But I know that they were looking specifically at them compared to or what Rhett had said. They were kind of looking at that guy, too. But I just don't think anybody really stands out.
Is this because it's too many wide receivers, or is now the idea that the wide receiver position is so primed that they're kind of suppressing it? Like, I don't know why they're opposed to saying it's good or bad. I think they're really good prospects in it. I just think the college offenses these days don't have guys running routes the way they usually do and stuff like that. So that could be a default to why they feel this way.
You have two guys in Quentin Johnston and Jalen Hyatt who are schemed wide open so much, doing the similar route every time, that your Biletnikoff winner this past year, the knock on him in the NFL will be he didn't play a lot against press man because they schemed him on a free release a lot of times within that offense. You know who else was schemed open a lot of times and didn't have to play against press man coverage?
Who's that?
Justin Jefferson at LSU.
LSU. And you know what? And that's what I was going to say. Went on 3HL yesterday, and this was one of those things that I've heard coaches say. We're talking about coaching. We're not talking about is a guy fast or slow or he has, like certain situation that he can't do. We're talking about coaching. What they're doing now is finding out ways not to coach in these situations. Well, he doesn't have the route tree. Well, guess what you get paid to do?
Coach
him. Like if he's a one-trick pony is what you would call a guy, like a Jalen Hyatt that got him on, or he's not refined. Spend time with him. Get him to run the routes the way you want to, or give him assignments to run the routes the way you need him to. That's coaching.
Coach Tyreek Hill pretty well.
Feel me?
Kansas City.
You feel me?
And that is why the Jalen Hyatts of the world will always be attractive prospects to NFL teams, is because of Tyreek Hill.
Because nobody got that.
No.
Yeah. No. Nobody got that.
Look at what Miami had to trade to go get that. And look what Kansas City didn't want to pay to keep it.
To keep that. Yeah.
So if you can get that kind of speed on a rookie deal and scheme that guy open.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think more people will want that than not want it, Will, to your point.
Well, if you're picking this year between one of those tight ends and a wide receiver after the first round somewhere, you're going with the tight end though, right? No?
It depends on which receiver or tight end is
okay.
there. I mean, if it's one of the pass catchers who are just wide receiver and tight end bodies, you already have one of those. If I'm going tight end, I want Mayer or Darnell Washington or Musgrave from Oregon State. I want somebody that can be an inline blocker and make Chig more of a receiver.
Okay.
But, I mean, I think you want some speed. Josh Downs at North Carolina, track speed.
Okay.
Jalen Hyatt, track speed. If it's Tank Dell who's just sitting there,
that's what I was going to throw.
You already have
out.
a slot receiver.
Yeah.
So are you willing to go get a second slot? All these things, questions that are going to be probably more clearly answered over the next couple of days. And we'll answer some of those questions with our 104.5 The Zone teammate, Lucas Panzica, coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll get his thoughts live from Indianapolis at the 104.5 The Zone table in the NFL Combine Convention area. He got the chance to catch up with one of those Tennessee wide receivers this morning. We'll see what Lucas took away from his chat with Cedric Tillman. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn, and I know who you are. You're like me. You walk around the front of your yard, the back of your yard, the side of your house, and you're trying to see if you're seeing weeds, and you get upset about it. You obsessively care about your grass. Your spouse and friends tell you that you talk about your grass more than you talk about anything, and that's because you want to be the envy of your neighbor. I'm talking to you the same way I'm talking to myself day in and day out. And right now is the time to be applying crabgrass and broadleaf weed control to your lawn. And I have the people you need to call. They are Secure Lawn. Their number is, and I'll tell you right now and I'll tell you later, 615-893-8455. Right now they are celebrating serving Middle Tennessee for 20 years. And lawns is what they do, and they are good at it. They've been building up a solid reputation here in Middle Tennessee, offering neighborly advice and legendary service. And what kind of legendary service? Well, number one, they don't make you sign any contracts. In fact, if you're unhappy with your service, they will do anything they can to make it right. And if you're still unhappy, they will give you your money back on your last treatment. This is unheard of customer service, and that's because they are family owned and operated, and they are local. Again, when I mention Secure Lawn, it's the name. If you know, you know, and they are good at what they do. They protect all types of grass too, and they will get residential, commercial, and even athletic fields. So get a head start on your yard and call Secure Lawn. Again, 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
This is your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
Viva Las Vegas! The Nashville Cup Series remains in the western part of the country with the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube this Sunday at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. For Kyle Busch, it is his hometown track. He'll be attempting to string together back-to-back wins after being victorious last week at Fontana, but he has only one win at this track dating back to 2009. Meanwhile, his brother Kurt remains out due to concussion symptoms. He suffered that concussion last season at Pocono Raceway. Two drivers to watch on Sunday: Joey Logano, who has won 2 of the last 4 spring Las Vegas races. Also, Martin Truex Jr. owns 5 consecutive top 10s at Vegas. The Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube, set for a 2:30 local start on Fox. I'm Jonathan Schaefer.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
I'm Liz Allison. For years, you've heard me talking about State Water Heaters and how they are a leader in the industry, providing the most durable residential and commercial grade water heaters. I have a State Water Heater in my home, and you should too. State Water Heaters are professional grade, sold to professionals in your home or business. And you can get one installed in your home or business just by going to statewaterheaters.com, click on the Find a Local Installer link, and you'll get your water heater in your home just like me. State Water Heaters for the professionals and you.
Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here at 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you. Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen as we go to Indianapolis. And we talk with a member of the Buck Rising show who is on time for his interview on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And that is the one and only Lucas Panzica, who joins us this morning from Indy. What's going on, Lucas? How are you?
Good morning, guys. Yes, on time. Full 8 hours of sleep last night, and nice. I think the same goes for Buck and Kirby too. It was an early night for this group last night. Maybe not Kirby. Kirby might have stayed up watching whatever he was watching until 3 a.m.
That sounds about right. I want to give you the opportunity in the floor to slander Buck as much as you want to, because he did the same to you yesterday morning when he did finally join us an hour late and said, I can promise you that Lucas will be late. And Kirby might be late, so we'll see if I can engineer this thing by myself, essentially, is what he said. I just want to give you the floor to speak your piece and say your piece about that.
Well, I knew I would beat him here, so that part didn't surprise me. But it's the like performative aspect of it, right? Like coming in, like morale is low, everybody's feeling terrible. Like, no, everything is fine. He hands his phone to Kirby. Hey, Kirby, film me while I eat this shrimp and pretend to be disgusted. And Kirby starts filming, and then he's like, "Oh, get that camera out of my face, Kirby." It's like, dude, just come in here. Do your job, like, for the love of God. Like, not literally every aspect of your life has to be content. We're already doing plenty of that this weekend. I'm exhausted by the content. So, yes, it's just the performative aspect of it. Just constantly, morale is low. Morale is perfectly fine, although I am ready to go home.
I've never loved Lucas more than I do in this moment.
Oh, love it.
So, Lucas, what I'm hearing is the only character concerns coming out of Indianapolis this week are just concerning Buck.
Yes, I guess so. The character concerns have not been thrown around a ton, other than in the Jalen Carter situation,
right.
Which I felt happy for Nolan Smith the other day, because he went up and he fended off so many questions about Jalen Carter, and that was before the story dropped.
Jeez.
That an arrest was out. The warrant arrest was out for Carter, and this was all the questions for Smith were based on I think it was Todd McShay report a few weeks ago about character issues. So it was lucky for Nolan Smith that he got off that podium before that dropped. But yeah, I feel like that's been the biggest headline of this week in Indy.
Yes, it has been, man. Who's impressed you the most, man, when it comes down to seeing guys physically and what you've heard about the interviews and testing so far, Lucas?
Well, Nolan, going back to Nolan Smith, that guy has the most infectious personality of any player that I've seen talk so far. He just a really enjoyable conversation. There hasn't really been anybody that you look at like, okay, this guy doesn't seem like he'll fare too well in these interview rooms, at least of the day one or two guys that you feel like are sure things in the first 3 or 4 rounds. But other than that, Cedric Tillman was a really enjoyable conversation, and Quentin Johnston talked really frankly about his time at TCU and some of the drawbacks to his game and some of the things that are kind of being used against him, like the drops and body catches. And he was really frank about how he's worked on that in the offseason and how he's been upfront with teams about that, but also being really confident in what he's able to do.
Is there a different vibe? I know today, or was it yesterday, when the quarterbacks show up today? Is there a different vibe from the media, from the inside the building, when the quarterbacks are walking around the building?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking about at the same time yesterday it was kickers and punters, and this place was a ghost town. And then you show up like 30 minutes before podium stuff starts, and there is a mass of humanity around Bryce Young's podium before he even steps up to it. To be honest, I didn't even go to watch Bryce Young because I knew anything Bryce Young would say of note would be out there floating around. I prioritized some receivers that might end up on the Titans next year. I talked to Rashee Rice of SMU. There were like 4 people around Rashee Rice's podium, so I went up and had a great conversation with him. I feel like every time I see a mock draft for the Titans, whether it's an analyst, a writer, or just a fan, every other one seems to have Rashee Rice, drafted by the Tennessee Titans, the wide receiver out of SMU. That was a really good conversation. Said a lot of the right things about being a blocker and the speed element that the Titans are looking for. He's 6'2", over 200 pounds. Nice. So yeah, I took that time to walk around, checked out Jackson Smith and Jigba a little bit. He said he's been 100% for a couple of weeks, but he will not run the 40. He hasn't gotten enough reps, so he'll do that at his pro day. So I did not catch any of Bryce Young, but I did hear him talking about his size and kind of how that's out of his control, and everything else in his game kind of speaks for itself.
Lucas, did you get a chance yesterday to speak with any of those defensive linemen? Because let me tell you, watching them at the combine for the 40 and the drills yesterday, This is like another level of defensive lineman.
Yeah, so those guys, a lot of them spoke on Wednesday, and I did talk to Byron Young for a little while. He really popped at the workouts. Byron Young is a guy that I'm really curious to see where he ends up, because I think he's maybe a little bit undersized. There's certain elements of Tennessee's defense that wouldn't really apply in the NFL. I mean, he's a guy that you'll see lining up in like a 4-point stance right before rushing the passer, something that you're just not going to do in this league. But I feel like Byron Young only helped himself this week. As far as other defensive linemen go, I didn't really catch up with any on Wednesday because I was going around talking to linebackers, to Jeremy Banks.
Okay.
Some interesting stuff from Jeremy Banks.
Yeah, tell us about it.
He told me, number one, obviously the South Carolina game, the week leading up to the South Carolina game, where there's the reported incident about a locker room verbal altercation with Hendon Hooker and Joe Milton being involved, and Banks obviously doesn't make that trip, and the Vols lose. He kept repeating the same line. It's a competitive environment. It's guys just fighting for a spot, and then he sort of paused and he said, "Well, there's no way I shouldn't have been out there competing with my team in South Carolina." That was interesting. And then I asked him when he made the move from running back to linebacker and who initiated that. And he said he walked up to Jeremy Pruitt in the middle of the Georgia game in 2018, his freshman year. Said, "Coach, I want to play linebacker." And Pruitt does like a double take. Like, what? What did you just say? And I'm trying to. We're getting blown out here. I'm trying to coach this football team. So that was interesting. And then Henry To'oTo'o, who was very diplomatic in talking about his time at Tennessee and going back and seeing all his former teammates and Tennessee fans.
So we always hear down there, because there's a lot of business done. Clearly, there's a lot of big names. So when you're just, sitting around there, you've got guests coming up. What's been the common theme this week that, has been a reoccurring theme, I guess, like a player or a specific, subject, because you feel like there's definitely things that are being talked about there?
Yeah, I think it depends on the position group. Anytime a Georgia player is up there, they're obviously being asked about Jalen Carter. That's the most dominant headline of the NFL Combine. Anytime wide receivers that have played against Georgia are at the podium, you're getting constant questions about what it was like to go against the Georgia defense. Who's the best corner you faced on that team. So, I think depending on the positions, but at wide receiver, it feels like every receiver in this class, like it's not a great wide receiver class, right? So every guy, there are one or two things that you feel like are significant drawbacks to his game, things that he has to show he can do at a high level in this league. So people are doing a good job of honing in on those things and talking to Cedric Tillman about his speed, about he cannot wait to get out there and run the 40 and show that he brings that speed element of his game. And if he does that and he kind of creates some buzz testing out with that 40, then I wonder if Tillman stands to raise his stock higher than a guy like Jalen Hyatt, as far as like where they are coming into the week and then where they are leaving the week, because Tillman has a lot of the things that Hyatt doesn't on his tape. He has that body of work of high pointing the ball, of being a combat catcher, the size and speed element that Hyatt, not necessarily that it's his fault that he's running free with no one within 20 yards of him throughout the course of last season, but he doesn't have as much of that element on his tape when Tillman does, especially from 2021.
Lucas Panzica giving us a couple minutes this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Lucas, I know the content off the mic has been exhausting. What content on microphones do you have for us today?
Coming up, we'll see Jalen Hyatt speak with the media. That will be 10 minutes into the show. So I'm going to go over there and let Buck kind of just talk to himself for a little while. Talk to Jalen Hyatt. Hendon Hooker will speak at 10:50 Eastern, so I'll go check that out. Stetson Bennett will be interesting. That's at 10:30, so he's obviously going to field a lot of questions about the incident in Dallas, getting arrested, not accepting his invite to the Senior Bowl. And so I'm fascinated to see where Stetson Bennett ends up and what kind of backup battle he ends up fighting for in the NFL.
I forgot he was there.
So he's going to speak about 1 hour from now. So otherwise we'll kind of just talk about what we've learned. We'll probably just get into the quarterbacks, which we have not done, and we finally heard from a lot of the notable ones here. A couple of them still to talk, but Anthony Richardson had a huge crowd around his podium as well, talking about some of the inconsistencies in his game that he's ready to kind of disprove. And he did a good job answering questions about all of those things. So today I think we'll talk a lot of quarterbacks and maybe take one final look at leaving the Combine. There's more to, this week. It's a shame that the linemen and running backs, it's such a good class of offensive linemen and running backs, and they speak tomorrow. We're not going to be here for that. But the week's not over. We will talk about just after the Combine. It's in the rear view as far as our part goes. All right, where do we stand with the Titans' plan with the 11th pick and for the rest of the draft? Do we feel like we've learned anything about their approach and the way that they've talked to the media, the way that they've talked to this show, and from what we've heard from the players?
Love it. Appreciate it, Lucas.
Cool,
Thanks, Lucas.
Thanks, guys.
All
Talk to y'all
right.
soon.
There's Lucas Panzica on time and ready to go with us this morning.
Yeah,
on
that
the
was
show.
great.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Stetson Bennett is a surprise to me. I'm going to be real with y'all.
You feel like the more relevant interview for
sorry.
him might be when he is interviewing to work at a North Georgia Northwestern Mutual?
Oh,
yes.
my God.
Yes.
I hate to say it like
I don't
this.
mean to be
Stetson
rude,
Bennett
but
is an enterprise salesman at the Atlanta airport coming up in a couple of years.
I feel like he's wasting somebody else's position.
I mean, some booster is going
I
to
do.
have him managing hedge funds in a couple years.
If somebody call up here and y'all tell me, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Okay? I'm going to say this. He ain't no NFL quarterback to me.
no, I don't even think he's a backup.
Stetson,
What are we doing here?
Stetson Bennett needs to be running Athens Toyota. He needs to be a used car salesman in North Georgia.
Am I off on this one? I had no idea. I sound like Buck with all the pauses, right? I have no idea.
Am I off on this one?
Yeah. Okay, tell me what Stetson Bennett's going to do.
That I don't really know what's going on.
What's he going to do in the NFL? I don't really know.
Is Stetson a winner? Heck yes. Did Stetson go through a lot of adversity? Heck yes. Do I want Stetson on my team as my quarterback? Heck no.
Stetson Bennett back to the shadows.
I hate that for him. I trained with a dude, man, that got a combine invite, went to the combine, and then quit football. He didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, dude, you wasted somebody else's opportunity. Why didn't you do this before you actually went up to Indianapolis?
Yeah.
That was so selfish, man. And hey, you extend that to whoever you want to, the committee as far as the combines invite. But is he going to be one of the 256 or he going to be like me?
I saw a report yesterday too that when he was arrested in Dallas, public intoxication, he hid behind a brick wall from police, and somebody said, "Yeah, just like he hid behind the Georgia offensive line every time there was a rush."
I mean, that's a compliment to them on that one because we couldn't get.
You're
to
welcome, Will Levis. We're moving on.
I didn't expect Stetson Bennett to get a combine invite. Since he turned down the Senior Bowl,
I know.
I figured that he wasn't interested in football.
He's too good for Senior Bowl.
But yeah, right. Okay, I love to hear him say that one.
So speaking of people in the SEC who annoy us, Nick Saban's back in the news.
What recruit he get now?
Courtesy of Ross Dellinger of SI.com. Nick Saban is complaining about Alabama's potential permanent opponents in the SEC, telling Sports Illustrated, quote, "They're giving us Tennessee, Auburn, and LSU. I don't know how they come to that." Oh, poor Alabama.
Poor Alabama.
Poor Alabama.
Goodness.
I'm so sorry, Nick.
It's because Georgia has an easy schedule.
It's not like Tennessee's had to
All
play
mad.
Georgia and Alabama
And
every
Florida.
year and Florida forever. Tennessee and Auburn fans are the only ones that can actually feel hard done by SEC scheduling.
Our cake game is always Vandy.
Okay. Just
Again,
give him a break.
Again, I didn't.
Give him a break
I didn't
today.
say it.
All right.
Give him a break.
Okay,
How
that's on
dare-
me. I'm better than that.
Later today on Twitter.com, it's going to be how dare Will make Ramon make that
It
comment
will.
about
It will.
Vanderbilt.
Because earlier I talked about the line and it came
Some
back to Will.
random.
Did.
Oh, did it really?
It was your buddy, Vandy Eli.
Oh, again, we don't care about him.
Caleb said your buddy. That's hilarious.
Look, real
to me,
estate is
'cause y'all-
expensive in Nashville. Anytime you can find free real estate in heads of individuals, you take that opportunity.
Yeah, you do.
Like a free real estate in the Gulch. Like, it's in the Gulch because if those people are, then you're in the Gulch too. Anyway,
you are.
but as the SEC moves towards a 9-game scheduling format, Alabama already politicking to get a protected cupcake in their schedule. Look, I have no sympathy for Alabama complaining about anything
At all.
ever.
Will.
I have no sympathy whatsoever.
We fight the same battle when it comes down to
It's
that
the
one.
SEC. If you want to have easy protected rivalries, the ACC would love to have you.
And Dabo would appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Either way, though, I go back to my point about Stetson. I didn't think he was rolling, but that's neither here nor there. He's there, and hopefully he takes his interview very serious, which
Well,
I expect he should.
He's also going to get a lot of questions about his former teammate.
And
you know what?
Stetson got his own issues when he walks in
I
those
know,
rooms.
but now I feel like that's going to be what he's going to be flooded with question-wise. Those two subjects, which probably not a lot of football there.
To me, though, like he's got a few red flags when it comes down to Stetson, and maybe they wanted him there so that they don't have to fly him in for interviews after the fact. But his drunkenness he had on, what was it, Good Morning America after the
That's right.
I mean, come on now. Let's be real about
Was
this
that
a little
2 years
bit.
ago, the first
2 years ago, the
championship?
first
Okay.
time. And did he not make it the other time, if I'm not mistaken? He had that. Then he had the public drunkenness in Texas also.
Yeah.
But his story's phenomenal. This guy goes and become a walk-on starter, 2-time national champion. So I can't knock that whatsoever. That's beautiful to me.
He beat out other guys that were transferring, that were top, ranked quarterbacks coming out of high school and supposed to be that guy. And he beat him out.
It sucks because, like I said, he's got to follow all that up. But no, Jalen Carter is the last of the questions he's going to be asked, unless it's like, hey, what y'all got going on at Georgia? You, then him? Is it a cultural thing? Well, coaches, not really. I just like to drink.
And
See,
then
the funny thing is, and I may strike a nerve here with you, Ramon.
Oh, good. Roll.
Is that certain players like Stetson Bennett, can show up totally hungover like that the next morning, and it's look at this guy having a good time and having fun.
Yeah.
You get non-quarterbacks doing that.
Yeah.
It's are there character issues with this young man who is drinking too much, all night, and this defensive lineman who's had some character issues in the past and has had a couple of the goalposts kind of move a little bit.
Well, I
for that,
appreciate
don't
you
they?
saying that. It does.
And
it moves.
And I'm not going to make this anything more than let's just make it as simple as possible between positions, between quarterback and non-quarterback. Because we could go deeper with this, and we could probably have a larger, more social discussion about that. But just for the sake of this argument, let's make it quarterbacks versus even a wide receiver from a different background.
No doubt about it.
And we're having a very different conversation.
We know exactly what it is when it comes to, he's just one of the boys. No, this dude's a public drunk is what he is right now.
Right.
Call it what it is. I appreciate you acknowledging that, Will Bowler.
So Nick Saban goes on to tell SI.com, we got 3 teams and 2 of them are in the top 10, and the other is in the top 10 a lot. That's funny. He says, look, historically over a 25-year history, the 3 best teams in the East are Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida. I'd switch the order a little bit there. Maybe we're going alphabetic. No, we weren't going alphabetic. Anyway, you look historically at 25 years, Alabama, LSU, and Auburn are the 3 best teams in the West. So we're playing them all, Nick Saban says. The SEC's exact 10-year metric is unclear, according to Ross Dellinger, but using league records from the last 10 years, the top half finishers and winning percentage are Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, LSU, Florida, and Texas. Then you got Auburn and A&M right behind them. The bottom half, Tennessee is included in that because of the issues Tennessee has been in over the last 10 years. And in that as well, you have Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, Arkansas, Vanderbilt at the bottom of that. From Tennessee's perspective, I think it's pretty clear who the Vols are going to get yearly.
Yeah.
It's going to be Alabama, Florida, and Vanderbilt.
Vandy, yeah, 100%.
And maybe not Florida because the Florida game was not played every year until a little more recently than I think a lot of people realize. The team Tennessee's played the most in its history is Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah.
That's the game that has been played the most in Tennessee football history.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt's second most, I believe. So there's a chance you don't play Florida every year, and Tennessee now goes from having the hardest protected opponent to maybe having one of the easier ones between Alabama, Kentucky, and Vandy.
I'm with you on that one, man. And, of course, send the trench monster of Georgia every single year, too. I had a source of mine, man. Shout out to my guy listening to us. He was just like, Georgia might actually have a bigger problem, though, to your point. Kayla, I know you stood on this one a little bit, too.
Yeah.
9 players arrested at Georgia in the last 13 months.
I brought that up yesterday.
9.
I mean, it's similar to the way Florida was under Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
It has shades of that at this point.
And that was, like you said, it was weird because that was at Florida, right? And then when I covered them at Ohio State, I was kind of like wondering, what's this program, going to be like under Urban? It wasn't under Urban there.
No.
But it was almost like, at Florida, it was a whole different situation down there.
What was it Steve Spurrier used to say about Georgia? He says, man, I love that we get to play them in the middle of the year because all their suspensions are over by the time we play them. He would say that. He said that at one point. Said, "Man, it's kind of tough playing Georgia in October. All their suspensions at the beginning of the year are up by that point."
Yeah.
Do you just get into trouble like at Florida?
I miss Steve Spurrier. I really do. Northeast Tennessee's finest. Science Hill High School, stand up.
Yeah. Science Hill.
Hilltoppers.
Hey, now.
Steve Spurrier Field at Science Hill High School.
Yeah.
When you go up there for a football game.
Take the surprise out your voice.
Beautiful stadium.
Did not know that.
He would have been a Vol had a Robert Nealon run his system. Or had Tennessee run his system. True story.
Wow.
How about that for a what if?
I know, what if?
If Steve Spurrier had been a Vol and not a Gator?
Man, your scenario you gave the other day was wild, too.
I don't want to talk about it. I was having a good morning. 615-737-1045. Probably one I'll hear later from Jonathan Schaefer. Coming up next, one tight end a tight end of interest to many teams this offseason. The tight end position of note over the past couple of days. One that is staying and one that is leaving, both in the Sunshine State. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Spring will be here before you know it. Hey, it's Schaefer. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply is ready with all the fertilizers, seeds, pre-emergents, and herbicides needed to get your property ready for the year. They offer professional advice and know how to DIY your lawn and landscape care. Whether you're trimming bushes, cutting grass, or just trying to keep weeds and insects out of your lawn and landscape, they've got it all. Dickens Turf and Landscape Supply, also your source for Kawasaki parts and service. With Kawasaki engine parts, lubricants, and service, and certified Kawasaki techs at each location, get your lawn equipment serviced or repaired with Kawasaki. Beat the spring service rush. Get your equipment taken care of now, courtesy of Diggins Turf and Landscape Supply. Here's your Middle Tennessee locations: Nashville, Cool Springs, Bellevue, Murfreesboro, Brentwood, Mower, Hendersonville, Mount Juliet, and Franklin. If you can't stop by one of their locations, check them out online. DickensSupply.com.
Rolling right along in the Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. So one tight end is staying put in the Sunshine State. Another one is available for hire. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are $55 million over the salary cap threshold, are expected to release veteran tight end Cameron Brate. A source told ESPN's Jeremy Fowler yesterday a $5 million salary cap hit, and his release will be one of many for Tampa, who will have to become salary cap compliant by March the 13th at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Jeez.
The Bucs have also approached All-Pro right tackle Tristan Wirfs about moving to left tackle in 2023, according to ESPN, with current left tackle Donovan Smith facing a cap hit of $17.9 million. The team could decide to start new at that position by having their premier linemen switch sides.
Oof. And their quarterback?
Yeah.
Kyle Trask?
Kyle Trask.
Enjoy that ring, Tampa. You're not getting one anytime soon.
We've seen two do this, and Kansas City's on the brink of it, too, at some point, too. If I'm not mistaken, with Patrick's other side of his deal kicking in soon. What is the Super Bowl worth? Is it worth having it? Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah, it is. But the ability to buy, I ain't going to say buy one, to overextend yourself as far as the cap goes, for the people that say the cap ain't real, now you're seeing team trying to shuffle and trying to figure out what's next for them. The cap is real, and you suppress it if you win a Super Bowl until after that. Tampa's about to be where they were in the early 2000s at a point right now, the 90s Tampa Bay Bucks. That's not a good place to be for a rabid fan base.
Well, and they couldn't even get it done last year with Brady still. A lot of injuries on that offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
With Brady at that age, yeah, he could still throw around the ball, but he can't move. And so that was a problem. You know, some of the weapons he just didn't have. So they didn't even get it done last year in terms of being a good team because the NFC South was a mess. It was a joke.
It was a joke.
And now you're going to lose a ton of guys. And then you look at the LA Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did they do? They won it all.
Crashing
But what
out.
were they last year?
Yeah.
Hot
crashing
garbage.
out. They were hot. Yeah, they were. Who else is in that boat? Kansas City survived because they traded some stuff away to get Kadarius and some young, cheap talent, some one-year guys like Juju.
And they've got a generational quarterback.
They do.
They do.
I mean,
It's a big difference.
They do. And the other team that could have a generational quarterback in the division is keeping their tight end. The Jacksonville Jaguars will reportedly franchise tag Evan Ingram and give themselves the window to still negotiate with him long term.
Yep.
It's an affordable number for them at tight end based on what he did this past year.
Yeah.
The worst case is not that bad of a situation if he has to play on the tag in 2023.
I said franchise about 14 for a tight end, I
so.
think these days. For a guy that was on the verge of retirement, I know he's supposed to get what he's due. Part of that is also cut in and divided by you about to retire and having a good year. So this puts you in that spot.
Evan Ingram, the projection 11.3.
11.3
for a tight end in
Okay.
2023. That's less than what Evan Ingram's going to get. Now, you could make the cap number lower by, and that's where you can manipulate the cap. The whole "the cap isn't real" conversation is one. There are a lot of dumb opinions on Twitter. That's among the dumbest.
Is the cap's not real?
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
It's almost like you're saying, well, credit. I have 2 credit cards or something. Like the money on there that I owe is not real. Like, well, I'm paying it every month.
Like, yeah, you can manipulate it with upfront money and signing bonuses and restructure and all these things. But the whole
that's a loud conversation for people who want to go win right now. That's
right.
all it is.
And you can do it right now, right?
Yeah.
You can go get some cool new purse and put it on your card, and you're loving it.
Yeah.
You're loving it, and you're like, I look good. And then down the line, you're like, yep, I'm still paying this off.
It justifies
leading to Mickey D's with a big time Hermes bag,
and then it justifies other bad comments like, I want Aaron Rodgers. The cap isn't real. Give me Rodgers.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
Couldn't agree more.
But you got a ring, I guess.
Coming up at hour 4, Matt Miller of ESPN.com. We've been going through a lot of this article today on ESPN Plus's buzz they're hearing around the NFL Combine. There's one bold prediction that ESPN's Matt Miller made yesterday on ESPN.com that is good news for your Tennessee Titans. That we'll dive into coming up as we begin hour 4. Tony Kemp will join us as well. Oakland Athletic one final hour of the week. On the other side, it's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
8:59. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. College basketball this afternoon, Indiana State versus Belmont. 2:30 tip for that in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. Coming up tomorrow, number 12 Tennessee is at Auburn. 1 o'clock tip, 12:30 pregame. Courtesy of the Vol Network right here on The Zone. Back to tonight, women's hoops. Kentucky versus the Lady Vols. 7 o'clock the tip of the SEC tournament. To the NBA, Grizzlies at the Nuggets, 9 o'clock tip for that one. To the NFL, according to reports, the Jacksonville Jaguars expected to place the franchise tag on tight end Evan Ingram. That franchise tag just over $11 million. The Nashville Predators, amongst the busiest teams in the league in the NHL in terms of trades. They have until 2 o'clock this afternoon for any other deals. They did defeat the Panthers last night in Florida 2-1. Roman Josi, 2 assists for the Preds. And Nashville SC at the New York Red Bulls, 6:30 kickoff, 6 o'clock pregame tomorrow night with Will Bowling and Jaleel Anibaba right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Into the fourth and final hour of the show, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 20th hour of the week on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here, as always, on 104.5 The Zone, with our 11-year NFL veteran and Vault for Life, Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
With our capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
And the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
World.
My name is Will Bowling. A good prediction for the Titans, courtesy of ESPN's Matt Miller at the NFL Combine, coming up in just a moment. On a busy sports weekend, the end of college basketball in the regular season. Tennessee and Auburn tomorrow afternoon on The Zone.
Oh, boy.
You got lots of live programming on The Zone tomorrow night as Nashville Soccer Club visits New York Red Bulls in Harrison, New Jersey.
Ooh.
Taking on one of the two teams in the Eastern Conference Nashville SC has never beaten.
Are you serious?
One of the only two.
Wow.
Them and Charlotte. And they've only
I didn't
played New
realize
York
that.
twice. They've only played Charlotte once.
Okay.
So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Let's change this around.
That's what I'm saying. Let's
Will's
go.
on the call, so,
6 o'clock pregame
Gotta get
with
changed around.
me and Jaleel Anibaba.
Mm-hmm.
And looking forward to that live from Harrison, New Jersey.
How's the pregame for that, Will? Walk us through this, man. You getting ready for this call,
We
man.
will,
We doing push-ups. We getting coffee.
Red
We
Bull.
getting cold brew. What we doing? Monsters. What we doing? Liquid
I think
death.
I need to drink an energy drink of. I need to drink a rival energy drink.
Okay,
I
so
can't drink
Monster.
Red Bull.
Rival?
I think if
Yeah.
Is that
if
the
Nashville,
Jake Paul one?
Rival? No,
No, they're the
I'm
New
not
York
gonna drink
Red Bulls.
Prime.
Oh, you're saying rival.
I'm saying I want to
Mhm.
drink a rival energy drink. Like maybe I grab a Rockstar.
Okay.
Oh, party like a rock
Call
star.
it a
Let's
game
go.
against Red Bulls.
The Red Bull owns the New York Red Bulls.
They do own
Yes.
them.
Oh, yeah.
Look at
Okay,
that.
for sure.
So
For
they
sure.
have a system, Ramon.
Really not.
There is a Red Bull team in Austria. There's a Red Bull team in Germany, and there's this Red Bull team.
All right,
And they
you
have
gotta
a USL Red Bull team too.
That's enough soccer. Let's move on.
real quick before we move on from football, do they like move guys around because they have an organization? They have a farm league, basically.
Tyler Adams, the captain of the U.S. men's soccer team in the World Cup, went from New York Red Bulls to Red Bull Leipzig in Germany.
Let me ask y'all
From
this
one to
real
the
quick.
next. They all run
Present
the same
this.
system.
Is it selfish, overly selfish of the NFL to not allow other leagues to really survive?
No,
I think
because they're minor
I
league
don't think
systems
so.
college football.
And it's so different. Just the
I think they're letting the
there's
XFL
college
survive.
soccer here in America also.
Well, I don't think it's letting them survive. It's just there's so much of a talent drop off that they can't
Yeah.
survive. Like there's no amount of help that would allow them to survive and thrive.
But,
like survival is one thing.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie though, I do enjoy the fact that it does give some guys a chance to come back and make a comeback.
Right.
And get seen a little bit more because not every, some people get thrown back in their
That's
careers
true.
and you can't go to college
Nope.
to do that, right? So it's given some guys a chance to maybe get back on track.
That's real.
But it's just not enough, right? Like Will was saying, the drop-off is pretty big.
One of those guys that be outside facilities are in this XFL. You know, with this cardboard poster signs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Titans had a cat last year that
He
was
was
doing
so
that.
nice, you guys,
I'm sure
too.
he was, but this is what the
Yeah, but
XFL is for.
you're right.
You feel me?
But at least they get to go play. Good.
They do.
The NFL is also now testing things through the XFL that I think
Truth.
that's why they will allow them to survive.
That's been reported. They are testing stuff.
It's just you can just watch, that even if they don't have a specific hand in it, they could make recommendations behind closed doors and unofficially say, hey, I want to see how this new kickoff rule operates. And the more reasonable rule changes in the XFL, I think, are on the table in the NFL. And I think the kickoff element of it that Goodell is obsessed with taking out of the game, I think actually makes the most sense. And having guys line up.
Out?
No, not that. I'm saying you have guys line up at the 20 and the 25. The kicking team's tacklers line up at the 25. The return team's blockers line up at the 25 yards away from each other.
Yeah.
And as soon as the ball is caught, there's a whistle, and you can start the play at that point. That way you're not blocking into each other at completely full speed, and it's just like any other play in football where you're 5 yards apart and you're just right there.
You want to hear something?
I think that's reasonable.
I think it's reasonable too, but those coaches, they love that stuff.
Oh, of course they do.
It
sets the tone.
Oh my gosh, they love that stuff.
Right.
I hate when they get up there. Safety is number one priority of what we have going on, and they're in meetings like, oh.
Well, in the drills yesterday with the D linemen,
the
coach was like, violence, come on, violence, hit it with some violence. Like it was hyping me up.
That's why I tell parents. They ask me, how soon should I let my child play football? That's on you.
Yeah.
Because football is not for the weak. You understand me? If your kid ain't ready and they'd rather be playing with figurines.
Figurines?
I wasn't playing with figurines.
G.I. Joes.
When
G.I. Joes is what I mean.
When I had that
football players
conversation
play
with my
with G.I.
parents,
Joes.
they were just like, Will, you're not big enough for that. You're going to get killed.
Don't force your
like,
kid out there to make them tougher. Football doesn't make them tougher. Just a quick pro tip.
And I was a lefty, so I couldn't really been I could have been a quarterback, but.
Oh, you could have been Mike Vick, Will Vick.
Well, I wanted to play hockey, and my parents were like, no, Kayla, you're not playing hockey. And then my brother's born, and he was on skates at 3 years old.
Get out of here.
Yeah, so I just played street hockey.
You should have called your pops out last week.
I know.
You should have.
It was probably more my mom.
We should have dogged them, Kayla. God, we missed our shot.
I would have busted some teeth.
Mr. Anderson.
That's right. But yes, pregame coverage 6 p.m. tomorrow night. For all the other questions you have about
on the zone.
Yeah, that's right. On the terrestrial radio signal, where we'll be for the next 2 weeks.
Tune in, check my dog out, man.
Looking forward to it.
Represent.
Absolutely.
Going to be a fun one, and you'll hear from us, hear from Gary Smith, the manager, here for a good matchup against a good New York team. 615-737-1045 is our number, and we've gone through a lot of this ESPN Plus piece, a really good one about buzz around the NFL Combine. 3 writers asked to make bold predictions, and ESPN's Matt Miller made one that I think benefits the Titans. He says the wide receiver class is not widely loved by the draft media and NFL personnel departments, but in his opinion, that will change after the Combine, once evaluators get a closer look at some underclassmen. He writes, players such as Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith-Njigba have the agility, balance, and technique that seniors like Quentin Johnston and Zay Flowers can't match. This won't ever be compared to the great receiver drafts of the last few years, but he says, I expect we'll see the consensus start to push the top 2 or 3 wideouts up the board after Indianapolis.
Okay.
I think there's going to be another 2 or 3 receivers. I think it's probably Jordan Addison and Jackson Smith-Njigba, the guys who are going to rise a little bit, like he says, that are going to start to rise on a lot more mock drafts to the Tennessee Titans at 11 for that reason.
I think, didn't Jordan Addison win the Biletnikoff also?
Yes, he did.
As a sophomore?
At Pittsburgh.
As a sophomore?
Yes.
That's a lot of talent right there.
He's small. I didn't realize how.
Is he small?
They said
Very
187?
Yeah.
I'm
6'3"?
going, what?
Yeah.
187?
Played at like 170, 175 in college.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And watching them last year with him at USC, I didn't even get that.
Well, take it from somebody that knows. It's a lot easier to put weight on than to take it off. So this weight clause stuff that they have going on, I get it. Bryce's situation, to me, Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama, his could be a little bit more concerning considering he plays that position of getting hit, even on cleanup hits.
Sure.
You know, I'm going to finish my rush. You about to get knocked to the ground. That could bother me some, but on the receiver side of it, at least they have a template and somebody they were overly concerned about in Devontae Smith.
Yeah, and you see now he's been fine, right?
He's been fine.
He's been fine as a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the point is that
He's
there's
got
not
AJ
a
too.
there's not a wide receiver 1 that's going to match up against your best, most physical corner and get off the line and beat that guy in coverage. Quentin Johnston, I think if he had showed a bit more in the red zone and had more than 6 touchdowns, I mean, the frame that you're looking for and the traits, Quentin Johnston's got it all.
Who would Quentin Johnston be? Andre out of the Texans.
Andre Johnson?
I say Andre Johnson. Is he him? Was Andre Johnson quick twitch? Because I don't know if the kid from TCU is going to be quick twitch.
I mean, Andre Johnson's career started in a different NFL, too. 20 years ago.
That's so true, too. Yeah.
Titans legend Andre Johnson. Which he was, we were watching this trivia show in my apartment on Barstool called The Dozen.
Yeah.
And that was a trivia question last night. The question was, what longtime AFC South receiver finished his career with the Colts, then the Titans? And I was like, Andre Johnson.
You knew that one automatically.
Tour of the AFC South.
Because in week 2 in the 2016 season, he caught a touchdown on 4th and 5 to beat the Detroit Lions in the back of the end zone in 2016 from Marcus. And it was like, Andre Johnson, okay. And that was Andre Johnson's moment in a Tennessee Titans uniform.
So is it fair that if we can say Andre Johnson played in a different NFL, meaning he was appropriate, is it okay to say these smaller, leaner wide receivers are more fit for this NFL then too?
100%.
You feel me?
100%.
We can't credit one without crediting the other one.
A safety can't just clean out Devontae Smith over the middle like they used to be able to. And yes, I know it's still. I mean, it happened to Adam Humphries a couple of years ago, in Cincinnati. A play that wasn't. And still, I'm going on and on about refs not making calls 3 years later, but on a play that wasn't called an illegal hit to the head, Adam Humphries was out for the season with a concussion.
Sure was.
He had many
Cincinnati.
concussions.
Yeah, he did.
I don't even know if did he ever retire, you guys? I don't even know if he officially retired.
Went to Washington?
I don't even know if I've ever heard that he retired.
Before he was here.
Okay. I thought he went back, if I'm not
No,
mistaken.
but after here, he was still kind of playing or trying to,
I
right?
love this dude is having a flourishing NFL career, and we just ain't kept up with it enough.
Well, the concussions.
Didn't play in 2022.
Okay, he didn't.
Yeah, he did go back to Washington after. He was at Washington in 21.
Yeah, I thought
okay.
so.
He was in
so just
Tampa
didn't
before
play.
that.
Man, I'm so glad I didn't have to play that game. I was very fortunate at the end of my career of not being cut and then still having to train for hopes of gaining another opportunity. That's got to be that's got to suck as a player, man.
Yeah, because you still want to, but
yeah, because you still want to, Kayla.
Speaking of that, Taylor Lewan on Bussin' with the Boys this week was talking about his own free agency now on those same lines, and was joking. And he was like, there's 3 teams I'm interested in. Was being really shy about it, wasn't really saying anything, and Will Compton kept pressing him, and he finally goes, all right, I'll tell you. Indianapolis, Houston, and Jacksonville.
Oh, God.
And Will was like,
Get out.
He was like, what? Are you serious? And Taylor was like, no, there's no chance. He was like, there was no chance I go anywhere else in the AFC.
I got a quick bone to pick with him, too.
My
Taylor, how you
goodness.
going to post the trash bag thing and then have to try to clean it up? No, everybody's mad about the Titans sending my stuff in trash bags. Taylor, you gaslighted everybody with the trash bag post on your front yard with all your equipment.
Was he meaning to say, this is how they treat, or was he just saying this is what happened?
I don't know.
Because Terrell Owens even got in on that, and he was like, nice way to treat your former players.
No, Taylor, you posted it like that, and you can't come clean it back up after the fact when you posted it like that. You asked for the people to do that
What
type
happened?
of reaction.
I didn't see this.
They dropped off his stuff on his porch, in a bag.
Black trash bag. And then people were like, this is how the Titans treat everybody. And I'm like, Taylor, you gaslighted everybody to believe this how it goes. Truthfully, this is how everybody receives their stuff.
That's how it is, right?
Oh, yeah. I got mine in a UPS box.
He was like, thanks for, at least I get to keep the shoulder pads or something. I don't know
He was mad about being mad about something he did.
I don't follow Taylor. I didn't see it.
Oh.
It's one of those people you don't really need to follow because enough people are going to retweet him that if you need to see it,
Well,
you're going to see it anyway.
You just mentioned Busted with the Boys, so there you go.
And I didn't listen to it, but it was told to me, and I was like, oh, that's fine.
Yep.
So there you go. If it really is valuable, then you're just going to see it anyway, as loud as some of those accounts are. Before we go to break and get to Tony Kemp, let's go to Chris in Thompson Station real quick on the phone lines. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, Will, Slick Willie, Savage, and Kayla? How you guys doing?
What's up, Chris?
Slick Willie's the new
Slick
name.
Willie.
So, Savage mentioned about, football's not for everybody. I can't tell you where I was coaching because I know the kids and his family are still in the area. But I coached for a travel football team when I was stationed in one of my military bases, and we had this one parent every practice that screamed, "Put my baby in, he can go." And every practice, I'm looking at this kid, and he's looking at me like, "Coach, I don't want this." I got this one coach on my team. He was a customary get back coach. He always kept the coach running on the field. This guy's a goon. He used to always say, "I'm about to make me a basketball player today. I'm about to make me a basketball player." So we had the tackling drill. And normally we try to match the kids up based off their skill set. Well, we wasn't paying attention one day, and he got matched up with one of the goons on the team, one of the future grocery store bouncers. This kid he was going up against only had two pitchers in life: a security guard, a prison guard. That's about as far as he's gonna get.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's terrific.
Once again, we're not paying attention, and I blow the whistle, and immediately after I blew the whistle, I knew it was a problem. One kid gets up, and the kid that didn't want to be there, he was a ball carrier, and both kids were laying on their back between two dummies. So you guys play football, you know what drill this is. You blow the whistle, you get up, and you try to meet in the middle. Well, they met. And when I tell you that kid was spread eagle on the ground crying, the ball went one way, the helmet went the other, and his mother was running on the practice field. The next time we seen that kid, he had a tuba in his hand. He was done with football.
Oh, no. A tuba, you said?
A tuba, hey, he was the best band player on planet Earth.
Good for...
Y'all have a good one, man.
Chris, thank you.
See, he found his true love, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There is
wanted
nothing
to be
wrong
on the
with
field.
There's nothing wrong with trying to be involved in the sport in a different way than having to do the sport.
Just the way he got there was a little bit more
Raise my hand personally on that one.
Yeah.
Praise you, Coach, for getting him out.
That's a great story.
Oh, that's terrific. Coming up next, Nashville native, Oakland A, Tony Kemp will join us. Going a little bit of Major League Baseball spring training, some rule changes at America's pastime. And how do the players feel about it? Yeah. Get Tony's thoughts on that coming up next as Tony Kemp joins us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call United Structural Systems. We've heard about these guys for a long time, and for good reason. That's because they've served Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands of satisfied residential customers. They are the go-to company when it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing. And if you have a wet basement or crawl space, you don't have to put up with that. Water intrusion and moisture can give you all sorts of problems down the road, and you want to get this fixed. It can be because you have poor drainage or surface water flooding over the walls or underwater pressure forcing water into the basement. It can be because you have a plumbing leak. You just don't know. But the team at United Structural Systems will find out why you have a wet basement or crawl space and will give you a plan to fix it. And if you do decide to move forward, you don't have to pay a dime until the work is done and you are satisfied. So get that free estimate from the people I trust. Go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com or call 615-227-2275 at 615-227-2275. United Structural System.
Fourth and final hour this morning on the Friday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling as we go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. And we hear from former Vanderbilt Commodore, Nashville native, and current Oakland A, Tony Kemp, kind enough to give us a couple of minutes this morning. What's going on, Tony? How are you, man?
Good. Just wrapping things up this morning and getting the body going in the hot tub and doing some things here at the yard. So spring training's going off to a good start.
Well, I can tell you we are very excited to be talking baseball because I think this show might be as big of baseball fans as we have in this building. But, man, how excited are you to just be back out there again?
Yeah, it feels good. Once February kind of rolls around, you start to get that itch to get back onto the field. And feels good to be back in the clubhouse talking with these guys. You know, this ball club's a little on the younger side, so a lot of knowledge to pass to a lot of guys. So it's been good so far. Love what our team's about. Think that we have a chance to be really good this year, and everyone's putting in a lot of work. So it's cool to see.
All right. Hey, my friend, how are you?
What's going on?
Okay, so you got a former Vandy boy there in Oakland that's joining you, JJ Blade. I had the privilege of covering him, not you, but you guys all come here in the off season, you work out together, and now you're there at spring training with JJ. And you said did you ride over there with him the other day? Like, what's it like, kind of just having a Vandy boy around?
Yeah. So my wife needed to borrow the car for a morning, so. Before we got our rental car to have two cars, so I told JJ to come pick me up.
It's funny he said told him.
Yeah,
I told him.
He's younger.
Yeah, I love it.
Really.
Is that fun though, Tony? Just having a guy like that around?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, our GM texted me right after they traded for him and said, "Got you another Vandy boy." So it was pretty funny. It's awesome that JJ's here. I think he has a lot of potential and. Obviously former SC player of the year and first round draft pick. And, he got to get his feet wet in the big leagues last year for a little bit. And, I think that, when guys come up, sometimes it can be hard because you really don't know what you're getting yourself into. The big leagues is just a different animal. There's no breaks. Every pitcher is really good. And, he got a good taste. And I feel like he just needs to be himself. And, I've just been telling him to, really trust his talent. And, I don't want him walking on eggshells. I want him to be comfortable around here and just trying to make him feel like himself and, be comfortable in his own skin.
Tony, what I've always appreciated about you as a player is you've had to work your butt off to get to where you are and to stay there, because we all know just how much of a grind baseball is, climbing that ladder, getting to the bigs, staying there, having to battle other guys to keep your position. What has really always been your mentality as a player to be able to have the success that you've been able to have and kind of stay there?
Well, I appreciate those words. That means a lot. Yeah, it's, I've always, had that chip on my shoulder, always being a undervalued and, short on the shorter side. So I've always felt like I've always wanted to just bring it each and every day. And, this going into my 8th big league season and just being able to just see guys go in, go out and, look up at the scoreboard the other day and this guy's born in 2002. And I was like, oh, But yeah, it's a true blessing. I just feel like, I've always had that mentality if you're not working, somebody else somewhere is. And, I don't think I've always felt like I've always just wanted to play for my teammates and never take a play off. And I feel like that's really shown. And, it's kind of encapsulates, what the Oakland A's are. And I feel like I've just kind of molded into a guy for this team. And, I know I've been a part of 2 other organizations, but just putting your best foot forward, and you never know who's going to come watch you for the first time in a game. So just always remember about those little things.
One thing, Tony, that's kind of happened as of late is the MLB draft getting shorter as far as rounds go. And one thing you're seeing more is you're a college kid and you have now a college Vandy alumni that's there with you too. Is the college game gotten much better because of the reduction of MLB draft rounds too, that has to kind of send guys either to JUCO or 4-year schools?
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, I credit a lot of guys that get drafted out of high school and go into the draft and make the big leagues. I mean, it's a tough road, but I feel like it's kind of weeding out those players that are kind of the in-betweens. And if you're for sure 100% going to be going in the draft, and I feel like it has helped the college game. And I feel like this even watching the Vandy boys for the past couple weeks and stuff, obviously there's a lot of good talent on that team. So yeah, I like what it does. I like what it does for the college institutions.
As far as going into this new season, the rule changes, whether it be pitch timing, bases, or shifts. Where are you at? I think last night somebody got a strikeout on a hitter in 20 seconds.
That's right.
What does that do for you?
Yeah.
Take your time. Take your time, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. You can't take your time in the box. So, so obviously I like the pitch clock when you're on defense, but when you're up at the plate, it's a whole different ball game. I think it's kind of a role reversal now because we're having to talk to younger guys to ask them how they did pitch clock management in the box in AAA.
Wow.
And it's 15 seconds is, you got to be looking at the pitcher ready by 8 seconds. And, I'm usually a practice swing guy. And we were playing the Cubs yesterday, and Eric Hosmer got banged for 2 violations. So he got 2 strikes because he wasn't ready. So I think guys who have been in the big leagues and, kind of had taken their time to reset, regroup, think about how the catcher wants to call a game, thinking along with the pitcher. You don't really have much time for that. Other than keeping a foot in the box. So it's one thing that I'm still going to have to get used to because I don't want to go up there worrying about a pitch clock. And I think I'm just going to have to get used to it. And I think everyone's kind of getting used to it in spring training. I think once people get used to it, it'd be better for the games. But, watching Wandy Peralta kind of quick pitch his way through an at-bat right there, it kind of shows you, okay, that's kind of it. It's a little tough for me. It's almost like if you were going and playing 18 holes and you had a shot clock going out there on the course.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, it's good for the game. Obviously, fans want to see a quicker game, but at the same time, we've played this game ever since we were 4 years old, and we haven't had to use a pitch clock ever. So I think that's going to be the hardest thing is just to get used to that. But like the no shifts, like the bigger bases, and I think it's going to be good for the game.
I'm going to be real. The shifts are insanely accurate in how you do it. Watching those games, I'm just like, how do you know this? Those shifts are legit though.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, we had analytics and, guys got smart and said, hey, if I throw a 2-2 changeup, he is going to hit it in the 4 hole, 88% of the time. So we're going to put a guy there. Or if it's a 0-1 count, we'll shit this guy up the middle because if you throw a heater inside, he's going to try to work his hands up the middle, and 80% of the time it's going to go to you. So, that's why, that's why the averages in the big leagues were so low for the last couple of years because, it's kind of like a cheat sheet. It's kind of like I know that he's going to hit the ball in a certain spot, and that's why averages and runs are so far down. So, I think it'd be good for the game. Hitting's hard enough, and when you step in that box, you're already going 1 versus 9. So adding shift was even a more difficult situation. So I like the no shift right now.
Okay.
Tony Kemp, our guest, Oakland A's outfielder, Nashville native, with us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Tony, you mentioned the golf thing as well and the shot clock on that. First of all, I feel like baseball players, the best golfers of any sport out there in professional sports, but with so many Vanderbilt guys in Major League Baseball, just all across the league, how many rounds of golf do you get to play with just Vandy guys around MLB? Because it seems like you guys have such a tight-knit fraternity.
Yeah. My wife actually put together a little taco bar last night. So we had over Kirk Casale was over, Mike Yastrzemski was over, a couple guys we played college with, Regan Flaherty and Jack Lupo. So I think that it's always fun to get the guys together. They've gone a couple other times, but I was on daddy duty, so I kind of skipped out and told them I'd take a rain check. So your priorities kind of change when you have kids. So yeah, but it's fun. It's fun to have all these guys out here in Arizona just because, we all know kind of what it's about. And, you look around, me, Kurt, Yaz, we're all 30 and above. So to be able to still do what we do and do what we love, obviously it's a complete blessing. And you just never can take anything for granted because, this game can be taken from you at any point.
So Tony, as a fellow Williamson County native and Middle Tennessee native and just baseball fan myself too, it's been so cool to see this city grow and change into a professional sports city, right? With the Predators, with the Titans, and just this city becoming a different place than what we kind of grew up in. But how about Major League Baseball in Nashville, though? Do you feel like this city is becoming more prepared and being closer to being able to support an MLB franchise?
Yeah, come on, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, seeing what the AAA team has done there in the Sounds and, the record number of attendance that they've had over the past 3 to 4 years has been, just a small sample size of what would happen if we had a major league team there. I think that the conversations are getting more and more serious of having a team in Nashville and what that would look like and how we would support it. But I think, we had a couple meetings with the, players union, and Nashville is definitely in the top 2 runnings for hosting an expansion team. So I think it might take, 5 to 7 years, but I definitely think there's a future for big league baseball in Nashville.
Well, I'm in a room with 2 Vols, so I have to constantly hear about Tennessee, this and that. I'm okay with it, I'm not from here, whatever, but I'm kind of an adopted Vandy baseball person. I've been watching them for years. I cover you guys, obviously. So I do have to ask you, now you've got this great rivalry with Tennessee and Vanderbilt. It's always a rivalry, but now it's like 2 really, really good teams, Tony. How close do you pay attention to this rivalry now, and how fun is it just to see these 2 programs in Tennessee go at it?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome, especially seeing how well the Vols have played the past couple of years and what that coach has done. And it's that rivalry will always remain. I think that, the Vols have really shown that, they're a true sports university. I mean, obviously, I think football, basketball, baseball, you kind of put those 3 together. And honestly, it's been fun to watch. I think that they've done a lot of good things. Vanderbilt has been battling the past couple of years in baseball too. So I think that the rivalry is even better. I bet you guys go back and forth day in and day out.
See, I can't be too bad on it, man. We got to play down the line with a lot of stuff around here. So I'll keep it cool. I'm a Tennessean myself.
Play down the line?
Yeah, because, I got a kid. I'm a sport, too. So I just got to relax a little bit. I can't be too biased, although I bleed orange and white, though. I just got to let you know that, Tony.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think that they have, a lot of good young athletes, and, their futures are very promising.
That's what I was going to ask you, too. The amount of ball you saw here in the state as a youth, though, I feel like as big as Nashville area, Middle Tennessee has gotten now, that plethora of talent around the state, have you taken a notice to it?
I've always been biased to Tennessee baseball.
Thank you.
I think that there is always a lot of really good talent that we had, especially going back and like looking at all the mid-state teams when I was in high school, and Mookie Betts, Robbie Ray, and myself, and David Price, Sonny Gray, and the list goes on. I feel like I was always feel like that's growing up. You just like all that talent kind of comes into play, and you really understand, how good these guys truly are. So, just growing up with that talent in Middle Tennessee, I feel like it's always been hasn't been respected as it should be in the past, I want to say, but still something that is still cool to see.
Tony Kemp has been our guest this morning, representing Vanderbilt baseball and representing Williamson County. Tony, we appreciate you giving us a couple minutes this morning. Best of luck getting ready for the new season.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys have a good one, and anchor down.
There it is.
Thanks, Tom.
I love it. There's Tony Kemp with us this
He had
morning.
to get that jab in
On the
there.
Mark Spade Real Estate Hotline. He's right, by the way, that Tennessee high school baseball is among the best sports that Tennessee high school offers. When you look at the growth in Middle Tennessee and what we have now in Nashville, and then you go look at Farragut and Hardin Valley and Knoxville, who are nationally ranked every single year, and the Delmonicos and Senzel and Simcox and all the guys at Farragut. That's where Ben Joyce first started his career, and now he throws 104 miles per hour for the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim of Los Angeles of Anaheim.
And you're also getting those kids from Cali.
Yeah.
They're all they're moving here.
Right.
So then they're inserting them in the programs, and they're big-time athletes over there. So now you're getting even more guys.
It's huge, y'all. Y'all know I'm in it. We got a tournament this week. It's nonstop.
Yeah, you know. I mean, you're in the thick of it.
I see it. These kids are good around here.
Wilco, stand up. Appreciate having Centennial High Schools on.
That was awesome. I love
this
Tone.
morning.
Hey, it's
He's
a little
great.
bit of everywhere around
We
here.
talk a lot about Simply Sumner.
Come on, man.
We talk a lot about Sumner
Davidson
County.
County, too, straight up. There's a lot going on here, man.
And VFL Mookie Betts from Davidson County.
Mookie, just doing good things everywhere.
Coming up next, we finish off the show, and we look at a weird headline for one former Vol who is jobless in his football career now because of something he did. It's kind of funny. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Listen to us. They are the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. And right now, it's starting to get hot early this year. And if you haven't booked your spring tune-up for your AC unit, listen to us. Now's the time. Through the month of March, get your AC unit tuned up for just $79 and get the fall tune-up for free. Yes, fall and spring. Do both of those. And did you turn your AC unit on and realize quickly it wasn't working like it should? Well, don't wait until the peak of summer to get it repaired. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers free service calls with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs too, Kayla.
And you just don't want to go to anybody, right? You want to go to a company, a family-owned company that you can trust, and that is why we love our friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They have been with this company in business for over 20 years, and it's really, like I said, a family-owned business. They don't hide behind that corporate kind of attitude. They are there always. They're not going anywhere. The Spring Hill Heating Cooling family, they respond promptly to your issues. They get the problems resolved. They do it quickly and accurately, because you don't want to be in the swamp of summer and have to deal with people that don't come in and do their job, right, Ramon?
Absolutely not. And that's leading me to my next point, Kayla. If you do need a new unit, they've got you covered. If you get it done now, you get 18 months of no payments. You heard that right. If you buy a new unit today, you won't have to pay for it until August of 2024. That's two Nashville summers of having your home perfectly cool. Seems like a no-brainer. Seriously, reach out to Spring Hill Heating and Cooling at springhillac.com.
One final segment on the Friday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Please be safe if you're out and about in the weather today, by the way, too.
Yeah, please.
It is a Friday, and I know schools are out. I know a lot of people are trying to work from home today, and for good reason.
Yeah.
And keep it locked here as well, as we'll have weather updates throughout the day as warnings and watches and all those things come through Middle Tennessee. But it looks like we're going to get major winds and tornadic possibilities.
It's this time of year, guys.
Yeah.
It's this time of year.
They were saying, well, they're saying it's supposed to be done by 7. I was going to say, well, the Woo girls won't be out tonight. Well, they will be able to be out tonight.
Oh, no. Weather does not stop Woo.
Stacy and her bachelorette party will not be denied.
Amber's going to rock it.
Yeah, Katie and them are still going to have a good time.
So's Tracy.
And Lisa Marie also.
What?
The two name. Get it from Ted the Bear.
Yes.
Anna Marie.
Anna
Joe.
Mary Lou.
There we go. There it is.
It's all the Mary
Sarah
names.
Beth.
All the married.
Mary
Yeah, all
Ellen.
the double names in
All
Tennessee.
the double names.
Joe Beth.
And her bachelor parties. Respectfully, we joke about.
Respectfully.
No, we don't.
I would not.
Jonathan Schaefer, disrespectfully.
Yeah.
Disrespectfully.
Get out of my time.
So if you're heading to the Morgan Wallen concert as well tonight.
It's
Oh,
tonight.
that's right.
Sold out in less than 24 hours.
Wait. Can it be sold out if the tickets are free? That means it's full capacity. You
in
didn't sell
the,
anything.
In the
That's
Given
true.
Out. The
Given
Given
Out.
Out concert.
That is a new approach right there.
Well, who is one guy who's sold out of being an NFL quarterback or XFL quarterback? Not my best transition. Not my worst either, but not my best.
It was mid.
Former Tennessee quarterback, not VFL, not a VFL, but former Tennessee quarterback Quentin Dormady has been released by the XFL's Guardians for giving another team part of the Guardians playbook in the XFL.
Why?
It got investigated, confirmed, and he is no longer the quarterback of the XFL's Guardians. Ramon, these are your boys. XFL,
You're being
XFL, these
kicked
are your
out
guys.
of the XFL.
You know what? He's just a sacrifice, y'all, to bring more exposure. All press is good press, right? Right, Shay?
Quentin puts the X in XFL. He was X'd from the XFL.
I also put an X in the V for VFL, too. That's always an interesting conversation because if you play and you're there, are you evolved for life?
Speaking of X's.
Oh, hi, Robert.
Hey, what's going on, you guys? I feel like every time that I'm in here to talk to you guys, I have a very eventful morning.
You do.
Usually.
I want to quantify something. Like,
Please do.
I'm a pretty dumb guy.
Whoa.
Like not dumb like I eat corn the long way, but pretty dumb. But this morning, I'm wearing my long sleeve shirt. Still got my undies on.
So you have clothes on. That's a
I
good
have
first
clothes
step.
on. Undies, long sleeve shirt. Taking the trash out. And I moved into this new house that has these newfangled automatic locks where every time you close the door, but something's wrong with this door where the wood is warped. So it don't lock every time.
That's not
Except for this morning. When I walked out with nothing in my pockets because I didn't have no pockets.
Oh, no.
So I go to take the trash out.
Did you say the wood was warped?
The wood was warped. Talking about the door.
This just in, the wood was warped.
Oh, God.
So I had to go knock on my elderly Hispanic neighbor's door.
Yeah.
She came out.
Oh,
I'm
no.
wearing undies and a long sleeve shirt.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I locked myself out of my house. And she's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm like, no, please. I need to use your phone to call somebody. And
no.
she's like, I've heard this trick before. I'm not letting another white man use my phone.
Oh, no.
So,
Well, we actually have her yelling at Bert.
No! Yeah. So I go knock on my other neighbor's door. She is less than stellar, like excited that I'm out here. I'm like, ma'am, please, I need to use your phone. I'm locked out of my house. And she goes, yeah, that's fine. And you can see she goes in and she's like one of the only people left in the planet that has a house phone. And she's holding her house phone as I'm using her cell phone.
What's that?
Like ready to call 911. Like this guy in my underwear stole my cell phone. Finally get back in my house. Finally get in the car on the way here. And I'm here now. So eventful morning, but
Bert, we love these stories.
Well, you even got stopped along the road trying to get in,
I
too.
did.
Tell him that one.
I was gonna spare you guys this one. So I'm
no.
I'm passing the road and I see cop lights up in the road. I'm like, oh no, that woman really did call the cops on me. Apparently, someone got pulled over, left their vehicle, and ran. So the cops stopped traffic both ways in Hermitage.
Wow.
And I sat for like 20 minutes waiting for them to let people come through. They never found this dude. I'm assuming because they just got in their car and drove off. But I had to text Shafe like, hey man, I don't know when I'm getting to
goodness.
work because they're not moving this car along.
You know what? Of both those stories, what I hate the most is whoever sold your neighbor that package that she needed a landline still.
Good for her.
She's also got a timeshare.
They scammed her.
Yeah.
Do you understand me?
Robert, I want to thank you for telling the
Shout out
story on our
landline.
show and not the one that's coming up next.
Yep, I'll save all the good stuff for you guys.
Please
We
do.
love you, Bert Hawkinson.
20 hours this week, done. A fresh 20 begins Monday morning at 6 a.m. Special thanks to Mike Keith, to Tony Kemp for joining us, and of course to Lucas Panzica, who you can hear next on the Buck Rising Show. We'll talk to you Monday, and Ramon Foster talks to you right now about words of wisdom you need in your life.
Y'all be safe today, this weekend. Enjoy yourselves, but please